What's up guys, this is Matt Dollar, PDGA number 26045 and team captain for Team MVP. And I want to do a little updated in the bag. And today we're going to start with the overstable drivers and work our way down to the mid-ranges and putters. So let's go. The first and possibly most important disc in my bag, I have two neutron phases. These are both board flat. Like, I pick through to find the flattest ones available just because with my thumber, I like to take the big pan movement right to left before it goes back left to right, and I feel like the flatter the better. I also use these for forehand and backhand, so it's one of the most versatile discs in my bag. Moving on down, we have two neutron dimensions. These both come in weighing between 170 and 174. This one is fresh with my new Ring of Dollars stamp. This is the one I've been throwing for a while. They're very overstable at low speeds. At high speeds, if you put them on a good angle, then they will fly before coming out. So if you have a lot of arm speed, then this disc is not going to be massively overstable for you. But if you have any less arm speed than me, it's going to be massively overstable for you. I find this just to be very overstable, but it's so fast that it just gets where it's going, and the dependability in the wind is second to none. So that's why it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, long-range driver. Next, we have two fission photons. This one comes in at 174 grams. This one comes in at 169 grams. This one is overstable, brand new with a Ring of Dollars, and I love it. It's just a little less stable than my dimensions, but if I get it out there on a little bit of anhyzer, it will hold very nicely before always finishing with a fade. Meanwhile, this photon has been in my bag for 3-ish months, and I've definitely seasoned it. I like to throw it backhand hyzer flip, but I also really like to throw it forehand hyzer flip. So this is the disc you'll probably see me throw the most forehands with. I definitely get the most distance out of this forehand than anything I have. Speaking of forehand, this is the other disc you'll see me forehand a fair bit, and it's the Neutron Wrath. Really flat, speed 9 driver, just super controllable with a dependable finish. I find the Neutron Wrath to be a little less stable than the Proton. I'm able to put a little bit of angle, it holds a nice turn, but then has a reliable fade at the end. The Proton is definitely more overstable, so if I throw it the same way, it's gonna just do a nice little S-flight. So I like the Neutron because it gives me a little more variety in the shots that I can use it for. I'll also throw this for thumbers every now and again when I don't need it to be super long and I don't need it to be super tight. It's just a nice, easy 200 foot, 250 foot thumber disc. So I will use that from time to time. Last two drivers in the bag are my understable drivers. First we have the Streamline Lift in the Cosmic Neutron plastic. This is a new disc in my bag and it is amazing. It's not as understable as the numbers quite make it out to be, I find. It really has a nice overstable finish at the end as long as you don't put an extreme anhyzer on it. I haven't really tested it too much forehand, but it's really become a go-to fairway driver for me backhand. Now to complement the lift, I have this very beat up Plasma Insanity. I've been throwing this one for over a year and it's very understable. Even for an Insanity, it's very understable. I believe this one actually weighs about 167 grams. So I really like this for rollers. If I'm ever forced into a situation where I have to throw a tomahawk, which I'm not a huge fan of, I throw lots of thumbers, but not tomahawks, I will throw this for tomahawks in the woods. I definitely know where it's gonna go, even though I don't get a lot of distance out of it. That's gonna conclude the drivers. We'll move to the mid-ranges. Starting with the most overstable, we've got the Neutron Deflector. So I threw the original Neutron Deflector that I received for over a year until I stuck it in a tree at the Santa Cruz Masters Cup on top of the world and never got it back. I put in this fresh Neutron Deflector and wow, I forgot how overstable this disc is. It is amazing. My home course has a lot of par 4s in the open and I definitely like using this for all the approach shots because it's just so consistently overstable. So to complement that, I've got the new Pyro, and the Pyro is amazing as well. While it still has the very overstable finish like the Deflector, it's much more throwable. It kind of releases forward when I throw it, especially with a little anhyzer. So it'll release forward, work very nicely before finishing with a strong hyzer. I can definitely get about another 50 feet out of this over the Deflector. Then you have my favorite mid-range, the Electron Vector. So I'm currently working 2 Electron Vectors. I've got this one that's been in the bag for probably close to a year. And then I've got this one, which is brand new. So this one is much less stable than this one. However, even the brand new ones, I find if I put a little anhyzer on it, it'll just hold that turn until the very end while it tries to flatten out. This one is beat up as it is. It's got a little bit of warp at this time, but I don't feel like it flies any worse because of it. And honestly, I'd like to beat it up even more and make it even more right turning. Because like I said, it's my favorite mid-range. I want to have as many varieties of that mid-range as possible. So Electron Vector, if you don't have one, I'd suggest getting one. It's basically my tunnel shot through the woods, or if I just have to believe that I have to hit this gap, this is what I'm throwing. So now I'm going to move on to my putters. If you followed me at all, then you know I am a huge fan of the Envy. So my throwing putters, I have blank Neutron Soft Envy. This one comes in at 171 grams, and it's pretty fresh to the bag. I just love the Neutron Envy. I'm able to throw it with hyzer, and it only moves on a left angle. However, if I throw it with anhyzer, it just works out the flat very nicely. I think it's one of the furthest flying putters of all time, and I think it's probably the most trusty putter I've ever thrown. Now I have a soft Cosmic Electron Envy. And this is a new addition to the bag as well. I mean, it's still just an Electron Soft Envy, although I feel it might have just a touch more stability in the Cosmic Neutron plastic. So I'm really liking this for upshots where I want to kind of hyzer flip to straight, because the Electron plastic is definitely less stable than the Neutron plastic. So this makes for a good stand up and straight shot, also for short approaches where I'm too close to throw the Vector. So last 2 putters in the bag are the putting putters, and they are both also Electron Envies. This is an Electron Soft Envy, and that's what I generally putt with. However, in the very warm summer months, sometimes I switch over to regular Electron because these just get a little too gummy for my hands. I feel like the regular Electron holding just a little bit more stiffness makes it glide a little better when it's really, really hot out. So I feel like these two complement each other a lot. If I have a little bit of wind I'm putting into, then I prefer this one because it won't lift as much, because it's used and kind of broken down. This one has held its shape great because it's brand new and a little bit stiffer, and so it has a little more lift. So if it's a longer putt, then I would prefer to use this. So I'm Matt Dollar, and I really appreciate you guys watching my In the Bag with Team MVP Disc Sports.
So as we see, James Conrad pulling out in front of everyone right now. His 7 under through 10. Well, I'm going to say this now. If James Conrad makes this putt, James Conrad has won the tournament. There's not enough trouble for him to find in the last few holes. I feel like he can play it out relatively safely. If he converts on this putt, the MVP Open champion will in fact be James Conrad. That's my call. The door is wide open here. Paul McBeth could potentially pick up 2 strokes on James Conrad if he converts this putt. Oh my. We have a match here, folks. Paul McBeth with the birdie on hole 14. Listen to this crowd go nuts.
This is the Pro Tour.
Hey, I'm Nate Doss, and I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I'm Ricky Wysocki, and I'm playing the Pro Tour.
This is the Pro Tour.
I'm Paul Macbeth, and this is the Pro Tour.
I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I am Kale Laviska.
Dustin Keegan. I'm Big Germ, and this is the Pro Tour.
Say it better like you, say it more like you.
This is the Pro Tour.
I'm Sarah Hokom, and I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I'm Eric McCabe, and I'm playing the Pro Tour.
I am the Pro Tour.
I'm Will Schusterick, and this is the Pro Tour.
How's that cheese? Oh, this is gonna be good.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to final round coverage of the MVP Open at Maple Hill, a part of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I'm Nate Doss. This is my pro commentator, Valerie Jenkins, four-time women's world champion. Val, Paige Pierce has just a commanding lead. The other three are all within one stroke of each other. What do we got laid out for us here today?
Well, I expect there's going to be a lot of shifting of places, especially the way that this course lays out. I mean, you can hand over a stroke or two possibly on each and every one of these holes. You can go from birdie to bogey so quickly, especially with all the out of bounds, all the trees. It's just so technical. But Paige Pierce, she's got to keep just booming ahead. I mean, there's no time to let up on the gas now. As I talked about, a lot of strokes can be handed out at any one of these holes. So you still have to be on top of your game, even if you do have a 7-stroke lead.
Yeah, I mean, we don't normally talk about a 7-stroke lead. Yeah, even though our ladies players, sometimes can get stretched out, 7 strokes is a lot. And I think, you mentioned the other day, or actually yesterday at the end of our show, that you had a big lead and who chased you down, Paige Pierce. So
exactly 6 strokes.
Yeah,
so it's just 1 stroke difference.
Right. That's all it takes, I guess. But let's see. Sarah's been just playing solid. Is she primed for a big charge? Who knows? If she were to make a couple more putts, I think that's definitely a huge possibility. But overall, it's been some good action. This is the same 4 players that we saw play yesterday, and they're 4 strokes ahead of 5th place. So it could be just a battle for the top 4 here on our live coverage.
Yeah, there is that little bit of a gap. We just saw the second card tee off just a few minutes ago. But yeah, they are all above par while we're still watching our lead card maintain under par scores. So pretty incredible. We're going to head over and check out hole 1's preview. And let's take a look at it. We've got a par 4 to start off the round. It's 835 feet. Over the water on your drive, it's all about getting across, hoping to land in the shorter pine trees possibly, or if the most perfect drive would land on the road, setting yourself up for the upshot, possibly laying yourself at the mouth of this opening to the green, or if you're going to really play the risky shot, you're going to go for it. We might see a player like Paige or Sarah go for it. Here we are, hole 1.
Plano, Texas. Paige Pierce.
And Paige able to put it in a decent position. We see the disc there near a smaller one of those Christmas trees. And now the one thing that I mentioned as we closed the show out yesterday, I think just Paige Pierce needs to avoid the big number. I mean, she can have a bogey, but those double, triple bogeys, multiple OBs, if she can avoid that, I think this title is in her future. But if Hokom can somehow muster up, and just getting over that lake, but in a beautiful position there, if she can muster up a run, might be a little bit a pressure put on Paige Pierce, which is kind of what needs to happen.
We saw Kristin just checking over her shoulder, checking out the PDGA flanner to her right. Blowing a little breeze this morning, but it might be a tailwind to help her carry over that lake. Airs it out a little too much. She's going to be on the left-hand side of the fairway. Might have some pine trees to contend with.
From Pipestone, Minnesota, Catrina Allen.
So I'll have to hear from Terry. I noticed pants and a long sleeve shirt here for Catrina. I wonder if it's just a little bit chilly here in the early goings. It's been a beautiful Labor Day weekend overall so far. And there we are. All four are off on hole one in this final round. Let's catch up with Terry Miller and see what we've got from Terry on the course.
Hello, everyone, and good morning from Maple Hill Gold. Hello, everyone, and good morning from Maple Hill Gold. Of course, we are here kicking off the third round. What a beautiful morning to be again blessed with great weather. Looks like the highs today are going to be about 75, and there's a few clouds in the sky, but light winds right now. It's only in the high 60s at the moment. Now, we heard in the opening from Scooter as he announced how a playoff would ensue. That's a little change up from what we normally see. Steve Dodge had relayed that to the players earlier in the year, but a really interesting situation. If it does go to that playoff, as he mentioned, all players in that playoff would play holes 1 and 2, regardless of score, and then after that, if they are tied, then they would play sudden death in a 1 and 2 loop and go from there. So something to keep track of. Of course, Paige Pierce is hoping there's no such thing as a playoff today, as she's got a sizable lead. But as we closed out yesterday, she said she's not going to be comfortable unless she gets into the back 9 and has a sizable lead at that point. Plenty of danger to be found out here at the beginning of this course. And so she wants to make sure that she's dialed in and she remains focused before she lets off the gas. And even then, we've seen, no matter how big her lead is, she's usually going to play aggressive. The one note that I saw from her this morning when she was out practicing her putting, she said, it feels like it's coming out a bit more hyzery than normal. We then discussed whether or not hyzery is a word, but then the next putt she drilled dead center. She's like, all right, I'm good to go. So we know the rest of the women are good to go. Will be a battle for first. Can somebody catch up to Paige and go challenge that number 1 spot, or are the rest of them just going to be fighting for their positions in second, third, and fourth? Either way, we're glad you're here. We'll see you guys in a few holes.
Hyzery. Yeah, I think that is a word within the disc golf vocabulary. And here we see Sarah Hokom. Thank you to Terry, of course, for being out there. Ooh, and Sarah able to just get it inside. That's a lot more aggression than we've seen from any of our players through the first 2 rounds here on hole 1.
Yeah, yesterday's morning round, we saw all pars out of the group. It'll be interesting to see who is actually going to charge, who's going to make that move. And, I mean, they're one stroke apart. Sarah Hokom, Kristin Tattar, Catrina Allen, one stroke apart. Who's going to make that shift today? Who's going to put the pressure on? Otherwise, Paige is just going to be off and running. Looks like Sarah giving it a go from the start. She'll still have about a 50-footer there from the mouth of the green. I'm going to throw it over to Kristin and see this lie. More open than, yeah, you can really get stuck up in those pine trees, but she's got a more open upshot. But it is the worst when you're lined up with these pine trees and you know that your release is going to be fully into the trunk of that tree.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
she's got to be aware that she might release early. And so we'll see how she handles this.
yeah, has to kind of just whip a hyzer out there. She's just playing for position at this point and positioned it on the left side of that main gap. She should have a decent angle from up there. Again, I think, Terry mentioned it, that Paige had said that she would not feel comfortable until she got into the back nine with a sizable lead. But really, at the end of the day, I mean, you don't feel comfortable until, I would say, that putter is on that 18th green. And then all of a sudden, you know what? Let's do this. Because really, anything can happen. I mean, at one point, Catrina Allen was only 2 strokes back of Paige Pierce, and then 14 happened. A putter in the water, a missed short putt, and then all of a sudden, anything can happen. And Kat just playing it safe, no aggressive play there. I think this will also tell us a lot about where Paige Pierce's mental, just positioning is. Doesn't look like she has the best angle. So do we just see a layup here? It's the big question.
Nicely placed right on the outside. She'll have just an easy little putter approach to the basket. We do have that wall that surrounds the green, which is out of bounds if you do throw over it. And it is just about 15 feet beyond and right of the basket. So even though you might see players of this caliber running at putts at this distance, there's a lot of trouble that comes into play with that OB wall. Now that everybody's throwing their upshots, we're moving forward. Check out who will be throwing into the green first.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Paige, with that less aggressive play, I think it tells us everything she needs to know. Or that we need to know about her. She's locked in. She knows what she needs to do today. Here's Kat. She was able to execute this sidearm beautifully yesterday and does that exact same thing today. Very nice upshot for Catrina Allen.
And what a great throw to have in your bag. You see more and more players these days adding a sidearm to their game if they're strictly backhand throwers. I would only throw a sidearm if I was stuck in the middle of a bush and I can only reach out to the right-hand side, but I still had a sidearm, and it's great to see more and more players. I mean, Kristin Tattar, she has a sidearm. We know Paige has a sidearm, and of course, just saw Catrina throw one as well. Just making the angles a little bit easier to throw. I mean, you could throw a nice Anheuser shot, but you're working with a lot of flight out of that disc, whereas a nice little sidearm pop, and it's just a simple hyzer to the basket.
Yeah, in 2019, if you don't have a sidearm, you're really one step behind everybody else. It's a necessary evil at this point. You have a player, like Sarah Hokom. I guess what we should really say is that it's a necessary evil to have both sides. You got to have a sidearm, you got to have a backhand. I mean, Sarah is an all sidearm player, doesn't have much of a backhand. And so I think in a way that kind of limits her as well. But I mean, boy, she does amazing things with that sidearm, that's for sure.
And so with this long weekend, you should probably get out to the field and get practicing both backhand and sidearm. And maybe we'll be commenting on you next year.
Don't hold your breath on that one. She's inbounds. So I think we're going to just see 4 pars here on hole 1. So a decent start, a good start. The hole is averaging over a full stroke over par, as we've seen throughout this entire championship. Hole 1 is extremely difficult, not only for the men, but for the women too. It's even though they have the shorter tee pad, but it's the fact that our lead card is shooting even par is 1.2 strokes better than the average of the entire field.
And I think for, the lower half of FPO, I think that first shot can be the most daunting. But as we move closer to the basket, I think the top players, they really feel that this green can really bring that out of bounds into play. But we're going to see one more drop in from Catrina Allen, and that will cement all pars on this very first hole, round 3, Championship Sunday. We're still all waking up here on the West Coast. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we are into it now, moving on to hole 2, par 3, 270 feet. You see a little bit of elevation going on here. You're starting off with crossing over a valley, and then we're sloping back up to the basket. We've got the OB rock wall on our right-hand side. We have a bunker of a collection of trees on the left-hand side. So this really requires an accurate shot. It can be reached with a mid-range disc or possibly a slower fairway driver. We're going to see a couple different types of shots, either a more stable disc at a turnover or that flip up, nice and floaty mid-range shot. So I expect to see a few different ways that this group attacks it. And there is the map. Looks pretty simple, but really toward the end of the hole, it really narrows into the basket.
Yeah, Paige has played this hole well, starting the tournament off with just a 50-foot putt, just a 50-foot putt up the hill, back on the first round. And I think that really got her kicked off because she putted extremely well through the first 2 rounds. Although she did mention before the round to Terry that she was putting a little bit more hyzery today.
But like any good player, it's all about adjustment, and she'll work her way back into that routine. And she has been really cashing putts this weekend. That has been a strong suit of hers, been able to save herself if she gets put into tricky situations, and saving herself when there's trouble even behind the basket. So it'll be interesting that there's even talk about Paige's putt. As we know, earlier in the season, that was a bit of trouble for her. But now we know she's won the World Championships. She's now in the lead, and that putt has really come together for her toward the end of the season here.
Yeah, for those of you that have been tracking Paige Pierce this entire year, I can think back to a putt at the Idlewild event with just 2 holes left to play, and Paige putting it up just above the pin. She's going to have a long putt just from outside the circle there, but nice and safe, no problems there. But she made a huge putt, I think, with just 1 hole to play at Idlewild. With OB behind it, she cashes it. She ends up taking that title as well. And it seems like ever since Idlewild, Paige Pierce has just been absolutely locked in on her putting.
And there's that left-hand bunker Sarah gets caught up on, but it's a good kick to the right back in the middle of the fairway. She'll be at the bottom of that valley for her second shot. Oh, and it had enough power to skip off the rocks.
Yep, got up and over that bottom root ball of the big tree, pounce over a rock or two, and she's going to have an opportunity for birdie here.
See the players, long sleeves, pants. See Catrina Allen wrenching the towel on her disc. There must be a little bit of dew. You can see the wind picking up.
Last minute disc change. She felt the wind. Went a little bit more overstable. She's going to be on that left side, and we're going to take our first commercial break, and we'll catch up with the ladies on the green.
Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag. Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag.
We're back, and then there pops up the head of Sarah Hokom. Down here in the lower portion. She got caught up just at the edge of that bunker of trees on the left side of the fairway. Long look at birdie up the hill. Yeah, I mean, you think about it. Terry is saying the high today is 75 degrees, which means we're only at the 9 o'clock hour here for the day. So 65 degrees. Now the sun is out. The sun is beautifully out, but Paige Pierce has probably got a little chill. As she was saying, she was chilly yesterday when it was mid 70s towards the end of the round yesterday. So yeah, it's 60, just over 60 degrees right now with a 6 to 7 mile an hour wind. So it's kind of early fall, late summer crisp to it. Now, if we notice there, a little hyzery, if you will, just ending on the left side, short of the basket, not giving it a full-on run, just sort of kind of a half-hearted run there, I would say.
And the wind is swirling. We've got the openness of hole 1 behind Catrina Allen. And then we've got the woods at her front.
Oh, and just, oh man, you could see she really wanted that, but that uphill slope did not get enough height on it. And here's Kristin Tattar. Beautiful birdie there by Kristin. She's the one who gets the first blood, draws the first blood on this course during this final round, picking up a birdie here on hole 2. It's going to move her to 4 under par for the tournament. And there is Sarah Hokom, Paige Pierce. Cat will come tap in as well. Let's take a look at hole 3, Val, as we head into these woods.
Hole 3, par 3, 325 feet. You can see it starts out in the open, but it gets very technical. You've got to ride this line right here that we see. Thanks to Gatekeeper for this flight. That's exactly what you want your disc to do. Starts out with a straight shot, turning it over late, but then hoping that it has enough stability to come back left, climb up the hill, and give yourself a good look. It's very tough to get that perfect drive, but when you do, you feel so successful. It's all about pushing it far enough so that you can clear that corner on the right-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of players cutting it a little bit too close. So you hit those early trees on the right-hand side, it kicks you left, and then you've got a lot of work to do in the woods. We've got Sarah Hokom, who throws a sidearm. So we expect that she's just going to throw a nice little hyzer, landing herself in a good position so she can have a nice open upshot to the basket. But we're in the woods. Let's see how it turns out.
Ooh, loving this line. If it misses that, oh yeah. What a nice shot by Kristin Tattar. She's inside the circle, just barely missing that corner tree.
That's what you got to do.
Yes, that was beautiful. Right out of her hand. I just love the height and the line. What a nice shot there. Now, Paige Pierce hit the very first tree yesterday on the right. Oh my goodness, she almost did it again. And it hit the next set of trees. So, boy, just the visual here for Paige Pierce on hole 3 it's just not good. I mean, yesterday, this is where we saw a little bit of trouble with her bogeying this hole. Now she's in that same position again. Oh, really no problems for Sarah. Beautifully down the middle of the fairway. She's going to have just an upshot from there. As you mentioned in the preview, really not much Sarah can do throwing that sidearm to get it all the way to the basket.
Right. She did what she needed to do, not forcing anything too crazy. It's really laid out so well for a backhand thrower. The flight of the disc.
Ooh, Kat puts an immediate turn on it with an overstable disc. And what a beautiful shot as well. She's up on that upper level. We're going to take a break and catch up with Paige Pierce.
What do you think flatness and stiffness on this?
Somewhat flat, neutral stiffness. This is a good disc right here.
Purple and orange. Got it. 2 more.
Danny, this is a sick one.
Dude, I gotta get through all these today.
Cheers to a good day, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's good.
It's a hard day.
That's great.
We are back here with Paige Pierce. She actually landed in an okay spot. And it was not a great shot at all, but she got super fortunate. She's going to have it just outside the circle look for par, although that big tree is going to definitely come in. We're going to throw it to Terry. Terry's got something for us out on the course.
Welcome back. We are here on hole number 3, and as you just saw, Paige Pierce pulling that one to the right. As she walked away from her shot, she said, I was thinking about it. And what she's of course referencing is yesterday she had also hit the tree early, kicked hard left. We'll see if she's going to be able to get up and down, possibly save the par today. But again, it's interesting to see that yesterday's mistake is something that was creeping into her mind today. Also, something that I noticed, Sarah Hokom very frequently writes things on her hands, maybe little notes or reminders. Today's written scribe on her hand says relax, and it has a smiley face under it. So I said, is that something where you're feeling tense? She's like, I always feel that way. So
that's her little reminder for the day. Seems like everyone is in a really good spirit. Everyone's in a really good mood right now. Everyone's focused, but Sarah Hokom is giving herself that reminder to relax. Let's get back to the action.
And that was a really good Sarah Hokom impression. I've played enough rounds with Sarah, and I can imagine her saying those exact words in that exact way. And that's too funny. But I mean, there's so much that comes into play. There's so much mental game that's involved in keeping yourself together, keeping yourself composed. We know that Paige is in her own battle in her own mind right now on this hole. But we know there's that battle going on between the three other players against each other and against the course first and foremost.
Yeah, very, very well said. I think for everybody at home, if you think being a professional disc golfer is easy, just think. Sarah has to write things on her hands. I mean, this is what our players these days have to do. It's a mental battle, and Kat is able to get through that mental battle and pop that birdie putt in. But it really is. You always have to just find something to get you through. Paige Pierce can't stop thinking about what happened yesterday on this hole. It's a nonstop mental grind.
We see Catrina's got earbuds in today, so that's a change up for the previous two rounds. So again, just keeping that mental strength.
Yeah, just like Kay Jones got the AirPods in.
How do those stay in while you're throwing? How do they stay in with that force of the drive? I don't know.
I don't know. I've never tried it. Ooh, and a big miss by Paige. And I believe, we hear the snap of the disc. There's a little bit of frustration there. She didn't hit any basket. And here we go. This is exactly what I was saying she needed to try to avoid. At this point, she's further away than she was on the last putt.
And that is so frustrating to know that you've just handed over 3 strokes.
Potentially, yeah, exactly. I mean, if Kristin's able to convert this birdie,
And there it is.
yeah, that's the confirmation of that 3 strokes. And it's and Paige is not in the basket just yet. She still has a sizable putt for now her double bogey. High left side. It stays in there, and there's a double bogey for Paige Pierce. She moves to 9 under par. Kristin Tattar is going to move to 5 under, so now just a 4-stroke lead.
And that can happen so quickly on this hole. As we just saw, we're only on hole 3. Still so much to play. You have to keep your mind into it right now. You have to maintain that focus. And, Paige is trying to talk herself through that right now. But we're on to hole 4. Par 3, 250 feet, downhill the entire way, sloping down. This is a putter shot for these players. We've got gravity pulling you toward the basket. As long as you put that shot on the correct line, playing it nice and low and playing the skip of the hill is the best bet. If you leave it a little high, you have the pond that is beyond, as you can see, the keen wall protecting shots that might just skip a little too close to that water. But this is a birdie to get, but also it's such a short hole, but you can bogey it just as easily.
Absolutely.
Even if you get it down by the basket, it's still a very tricky green. And as we just saw Paige going back and forth, this hole can set up for just the same.
Yeah, Paige just had a 4 putt, and here's Kristin with her sidearm, landing it short and using the gravity. She is inside the circle yet again, 3 holes in a row, having a birdie opportunity. She's converted those first 2, of course. We saw Paige Pierce 3-putt this hole yesterday. She just 4-putted the previous hole. So at this point, a deep breath needs to be had, and Kat's got this. Ooh, what a flippy, nice little bounce, but that is a one flippy putter. Dang, it was going immediately to the right. Well seasoned, I guess, is the word we should use on that putter. Here's Sarah, got it turned. And it hits a root and it's going to stay up the hill. Just a layup from there, most likely. It's really steep. Our tournament leader by 4, Paige Pierce. Hits a late tree, sticks right there. We're going to take a short break and we will see you down on the green. Welcome back, everybody. We have Sarah Hokom here. We were just talking about in the break, Val, of this is just such a classic situation. Big lead by Paige Pierce, now a 4-putt. All of a sudden, it's just it's got a different feel. Oh, and it's got a roll on it. It needs to hit that, and it misses it. Oh, but it hits the next one. Okay, so she's going to have about a 12-foot putt from there. Not so bad. But all of a sudden, it just has a different feel. And sometimes when you got a big lead, you change your game plan a little bit. You just don't want to mess it up. I think there's a lot of pressure put on a big lead like this.
And the funny thing that you talking yourself through this, Paige knows that she had a 7-stroke lead. And you kind of give yourself slack, like, oh, I just hit the first tree off the tee. Oh, that's okay. I have this buffer.
Mm-hmm.
And then you miss the first putt. It's okay. I have a buffer. But then strokes start adding up. You're a little bit more, you're easier on yourself because you have that little bit of a gap instead of having that focus and that your drive to continue to get better. So let's hope that double bogey on the last hole puts Paige back into gear. Big putt for Catrina. I'll send her sailing down to the bottom of the hill, but she hits the wall. She's safe.
Yeah, that was a horrible, really just release. It went way too high with way too much angle. One thing I noticed is she really stood over that putt for a little longer than normal. She was sort of thinking about it. She usually Catrina's very quick. Can we call this a redemption possibility here? Let's find out. Oh, and able to sneak it in on that left side. Redemption is had for Paige Pierce.
What a great view. That's such a tricky putt. It's tough to hit enough chains to bring it into the basket. But nails it from the knee.
Is it the water or the wall? Huh?
Catrina asked the group where she should start taking her meter from, whether it's the water or the wall. Amp and I would say the same. It's the wall. That's going to be your line.
And there we go. Did you see the pace on that? She put her mark down. She stepped behind it. She stepped up. She nailed it. Much better release. I liked that pace for Kat a little bit better. Able to just perfectly put that right in the center of the chains. And here's Kristin Tattar for birdie. And she's able to pop that in.
If anybody's got the momentum right now, it's Kristin Tattar. Look at 3 birdies on the last 3 holes. Her putt looks strong. Her drives have been strong. And we actually caught an interview with her. Terry caught her on the course yesterday, caddying for Silver Lot. And
I think advising. Silver had his own bag. She's an advisor.
And so she was describing how there's a lot of wooded courses in Estonia. And so she kind of feels at home playing on this course this weekend. And we see that she's very good in the woods. We are on to almost there, hole 5. And that is not the correct numbers, but it's 285 feet. It's a par 3. Here is the flight over the water, which we will see several of our players throwing. Is the easiest, and that could be air quotes right there. That is the best shot for a birdie. We will see possibly 2 of the other players going up the wooded route. It's a tough way to go. It's a safer shot, but it can be a tricky par to save. So we will see what the players choose to do today.
We heard Terry talk about how Paige said, I just need to throw over the water. So we'll see if Paige goes over the water. This is Kristin's normal play. And I think she hit a little bit early. So we're going to see where she ended up. But look at Paige Pierce kind of sticking with her normal game plan. I think she might have said that yesterday a little bit aggravated, or maybe even tongue-in-cheek in the sense that, hey, next year I need to be thrown over that water. You know, it just makes more sense. Oh, and look at that. Absolutely perfect. Easy upshot from there.
That is the best you can do on that route. That is one of the better shots that I've ever seen. It's going to make it a much easier upshot, but still, I mean, you're not able to throw far enough to even give yourself a putt from that way. But here we go. Catrina Allen first to throw over the water with an anhyzer.
It's holding. Oh, nice shot there by Kat. A little long. That's that death putt we've seen from a couple of our male competitors. And here's Sarah. That big sidearm. Able to get it up and inbound. She's going to have a birdie opportunity. We're going to take a break, and we'll see it just back here in a few seconds. think we'd need a translator for this conversation. I think they're just talking about which line to take. Kristin's just trying to figure out where she wants to land. I do got to say, Val, I was impressed with the interview by Kristin. She's really just a nice person, and you could tell how excited she is to be here playing in the United States. Both her and Silver have come the last 3 years. I think the first trip just a few weeks. Last year was a month, and this year's 2 months, culminating at the United States Disc Golf Championships for Silver. But yeah, you know, all these interviews with our ladies are so insightful. Ooh, hitting immediately, but kicking way forward. She'll take it.
Yeah, that's what she said. You're getting good at your Estonian, Nate. But yeah, that was very fortunate. Hitting on the left side of those trees up the fairway could send you sailing into the pond. So she's going to be happy how that ended up. But just another upshot to the basket, likely. And we're going to see Paige moving up to her drive after taking the wooded route. She's got a few different routes to choose from, as we can see right here. And the view from behind. It's like the straight ahead route seems to be the biggest.
Ooh, and a perfect layup. That sound means she's right up underneath the basket. Now we see Kristin. It's a good angle to be able to go at the basket because you don't really have to worry about the water too much. Although just a layup for Kristin as well. So she's going to lose a stroke. Still, she's had a very nice start to the early part of this round. That's the only thing that I could say about that hyzer line is, in a way, you kind of just have to accept bogey. Because if you're caught way back, you just, there's a long way to go, and there's a lot of trees in the way. So you mentioned easier. I would use sort of path of least resistance over the water, even though there's a lot more danger.
Is really lofting those putts up there with such an extreme hyzer angle. And I believe that's Mark out there swimming and fishing for discs that players have lost throughout the weekend and the practice rounds. So big shout out to Mark.
Scuba Mark.
You've ever seen that rainbow pile of discs here at Maple Hill? That's all due to Mark.
Yeah, and the crowd likes it, and so does Sarah. She's happy with that. That's a birdie for Sarah Hokom. That's going to move her to 5 under par. This has kind of been Sarah's MO in this tournament, just kind of slow and steady, not making too many big mistakes, but also not getting too many streaks going. So Sarah's just going to continue to chug along. And Kat able to just get that one up over the rim. A couple of tap-ins here for Kristin and Paige.
Thanks, Mark.
There he is. Look at him. Just reaching around with his feet. And let's take a look at that whole preview of hole 6.
Hole 6, par 3, 320 feet. Very tight fairway the entire way. And as we creep up, I mean, there's trouble on the left-hand side with woods, and the lake comes into play, but down the entire right-hand side, you have the rock wall. It's going to continue all the way to the basket. So that's one thing players have to be aware of, even on their up shots. It's a very technical hole. You're going to be happy if you can give yourself a look at the basket from the opening of the green. It's really difficult for players to punch all the way down here to where they're getting a putt at the basket. So it is a par 3. For distance, I think especially because you can reach this, but it's just so tight and technical that when you get a 3 on this hole, you're pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Sarah's played this hole pretty well through 2 rounds. The sidearm does lay out nicely for this hole. If you can just hit that early line and just use that that full flight of the disc, it's going to put you in a beautiful position. Let's see if Sarah can execute that. Ooh, got it turned a little bit. Ooh, nice kick, though.
And that's a gap I was about to mention. There is another gap on the left-hand side that Sarah almost hit, and a sidearm could reach the basket. She just hit one of those very last trees. She almost made it.
She's got a tricky upshot from there, but she's still made it 2/3 of the way down the fairway, so that's always a good start here on hole 6. Oh, and Paige has got it on the left side. Made it through quite a way. She's inbounds. Boy, she got through a long way
She made
on
it
that left
way
side.
down there.
Yeah.
I mean, you have that risk if you're throwing into left side. You have a risk of hitting any one of those 100 trees. And there is the water, the pond that comes into play. But she made it all the way through, so.
Ooh, and Kat not so lucky. Kind of hitting around, hitting a few branches. She's down inbounds. Yesterday for Joel Freeman, this is where it all unraveled as he took a double bogey with 2 out-of-bounds penalties.
And a massive putt.
And a huge putt, yeah.
To save that.
He only threw 3 shots. Ooh, I like this. If it turns. When it's made it down that left side fairway you were talking about there, Val, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll catch up with Catrina Allen. And as promised, we're back here with Catrina Allen, who has gotten caught up on this left side. Looks like she's going to have to go with a sidearm route. Interesting thing that I've been noticing. Now, of course, this is a second shot, and I wouldn't really question her having 2 different discs. I've noticed her with 2 different discs on the tee pad a few times. And I'm always interested with that. Very rarely would I ever head to the tee with 2 different discs.
Especially on the 3rd round of the tournament.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, the wind can adjust it, but typically once I step onto the tee, that's when the preparation has already happened. Now it's just about following the routine. So she's made a couple of last-second changes just a few times. We'll keep an eye on that. Just something else to keep an eye on, just to watch. It's an interesting observation.
It is an interesting observation.
And now we'll let the other players kind of gather down to where they ended up. Paige Pierce got pretty deep into the stuff on the left side of this fairway.
And I just saw in the crowd, Nate Perkins has a massive camera around his neck. So Alyssa Van Lannen is really influencing everyone that travels around with her and expanding on her camera crew. Make sure that they've got all angles covered. As we know, Paige travels around with Alyssa and Nate. And wow. And so here we see that Paige does have a window, actually. She's in the far left-hand side. Well, it's still going to be a big putt, about 25 feet from the basket with a few squirrely tree branches in her way. She's able to reach around. She'll have a look, or possibly through those big trees. Might have to get a little tricky.
Yeah, I'm very interested right now to see where Kristin Tattar finished, as she was able to kind of swoop it down that left side gap that you were mentioning. Because at this point, it looks as if Paige Pierce may give one back.
Wow. And you were mentioning it's going to be a tough up shot from there. We can't even see the basket, but we know it's behind that clump of trees, and it's directly behind it. So it makes that angle so tight. You try and throw something a little lofty, you can end up long and past the basket.
I like the side she's looking at. I've been in this exact position. I like this high left side better than trying to do anything on that right side, which brings that wall into play. Oh, yeah. Everybody liked it immediately. Crowd likes it. Sarah likes it. Yeah, little fist pump there.
And that was awesome. You don't see that angle being thrown from Sarah Hokom.
Yeah, you really don't. It's true.
You're never going to see that extreme Anheuser angle. And so forced to throw it, but able to execute it perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Just another few inches, and that would have been dead center. Great effort there by Catrina Allen. Of course, sitting in the booth, I'm always just curious to see who's up next, because we still have not gotten to Kristin Tattar's disc at this point. So Paige Pierce still out, which means Kristin is inside of this, presumably.
And we see Paige lining up the jump putt, so she's outside the circle. Which means Kristin is possibly inside or near.
Oh, hits the branch off the top of the basket. That's going to be a bogey for Paige Pierce, and we still see Kristin moving into position. We're going to call Kristin's disc about 37 feet outside the circle. You see there that orange flag just in front of her. Best drive I've seen by any lady so far this weekend.
Oh, man, giving it all the chains, but not able to stick. That would have been a huge birdie.
Yeah, the two-stroke swing potential there. Still going to gain a stroke overall on the tournament leader, which is important. When Sarah, she executed a good shot, just a little bit short. Now she's got something going to be kind of just tricky here. There's those scraggly branches. Yes, that's a word. Scraggly.
You added a Q. Squaggly.
Yeah. There's 2 Q's in there. And the silent P. There's nothing silent about that putt right there. That's chains for Sarah Hokom. Nice one there for Sarah. Great save. I think one thing that people don't really know is that now in the Scandinavian region and Northern Europe of Estonia, that there are a lot of tournaments, and Kristin Tattar has a lot of experience playing in disc golf tournaments. So we see her very comfortable in executing a game plan. She doesn't seem to be too nervous out there. So that's something to be said for sure. And even we see some video coverage of those events too. I see them pop up at the brewery, the ladies of Europe and Scandinavia. So there we go. Hole 6 in the books. Let's take a look at hole 7, Val.
Hole 7, 275 feet. Sponsored by Savage Ultimate. So thank you to Savage for supporting the Disc Golf Pro Tour. But this hole is savage. Look at how tight this fairway is. It's pretty technical, but they've shortened it up. There's our basket on the left. This is actually the MPO's basket beyond. And we're backing it up. Take a look at the basket, because even if you park the basket, you still have about, let's count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trees within 20 feet. So it's about getting as close as you can, hitting the gap, avoiding any trees as you can down the fairway, and giving yourself a putt. Yesterday, we saw a lot of missed putts. It started on hole 6 of the short missed putts.
Mm-hmm.
It continued here on hole 7, and I think with those trees coming into play, can really make players think about their putt a little longer than they need.
Yeah, well said. It absolutely does. Although I feel just from what I can tell, there's a totally different feel in this group right now. Is you got 3 players who are just trying to chase down Paige Pierce. Oh, Sarah just hitting that big branch.
And there's that eerie feeling in the air. You just don't know what could happen. You're playing in the woods, and so you can feel as confident as you want, but an inch off here or there could write a different story for you. But Kristin Tattar still holding strong. Her game's looking very confident right now.
Go.
Left side. Wow. She fought and fought and fought. Look at that. Incredible fortune for Kristin Tattar getting all the way up. She's going to have a birdie opportunity. You can hear it in our voices when we see something like that. I mean, that's a great feeling. That is a great feeling. You miss your line by 20 feet and you're still up by the basket.
And that was a pretty stable disc, but Paige was able to pop it up on the right-hand side of the fairway, and it hyzers back toward the basket.
Yeah, it looked like she slithered a little bit down into those taller bushes. So most likely, and it's just an interesting thing. I would notice this as if I was playing with her. That's 2 discs up to the tee. I just can't imagine having that many options on these holes. Ooh, nice kick. It continues to carry forward. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with you in just a second.
I can throw this disc around the world in 1 shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8.
See? Stay getting birdies, my friends.
So in college, Sarah Hokom was a competitive volleyball player. And so Sarah's been a competitive athlete basically her entire life, all the way since high school, probably even younger than that. And interestingly, to have the note on her hand, you got to remember she's been doing this for a very, very long time, and sometimes you got to just find something that works.
Yep. I would always have a mantra myself. I would always have a word or two or a little saying that would keep me focused. We know Sarah's been writing on her hand for a few years now, and it really, I think, has helped her kind of stay grounded, remember what she's trying to do. She's writing these notes on her hand before she heads out for the round. So it's not something she's had to change up. This is part of the game plan. Stay relaxed.
That's what I'm talking about.
And we see where Catrina is. That didn't end up too bad at all. You could really get a huge ricochet off these trees and end up far into the woods. But Kat still has a putt. See the 10-meter circle just in front of her? I'm always curious what the playlist is. Is it something that's just very calm? You're playing in the woods. I feel like it's got to be calm and soothing and jammy.
I couldn't imagine going up for a tee shot and just the beat being totally off. As I'm running up on the tee and it's just a different beat. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be a good question at the interview level. Maybe we get T-Dog on that one.
And playing in groups, Sarah Hokom usually has music going, Jennifer Allen as well. And I could hear the music. Sometimes it was blasting so loud in their ears, but usually it was something very upbeat.
Oh, give it to me. Come on.
Oh, wow. And that was a great putt in the heart of the chains and spits back out. We're just as disappointed, Paige, but that's how it is sometimes. A little bit too hard.
Yeah, you could hear it in her voice. She wanted that. Just give it to me. She knew she executed a good looking putt. Oh boy, sit. Just hitting on the top of the basket. Kristin's gonna still have some left for par. Sarah will move in for her par.
And there have been a few loud roars.
I think they're coming from 8. That's like
the crowd on hole 8.
That's the crowd spot. Yeah.
Just watching the drives coming in, just getting excited, but could have been a little distracting for Kristin on that putt.
Just because the sound travels so well over that water. Kristin able to swoop that in on the left side. Looks like it'll be a round of 3s on hole 7 for our ladies lead card here at the MVP Open on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And there comes Paige. Let's take a look at hole 8, Val. Over the water, just the hole we were just talking about.
Hole 8, par 3, 250 feet over water the entire way. You got to be careful of what the wind is doing, understanding if it's which way it is blowing. But then when you get closer to the basket, if you're throwing it out a little bit too wide, either right or left, you have the trees to contend with, which might possibly knock you back into the water. So going straight for the basket is the best play. You do have the wall behind you that is an OB line as well. And of course, we see that opening right there. So you can send your disc sailing up the hill and out of bounds. You'd take it from where it was last in bounds if you do go OB up there. If you throw in the water, you'll be taking it from the drop zone. Let's hope everybody lands nice and safely, and let's see some big putts on this one. This is a great birdie shot.
It really is. The distance is not too far. I think more it's just the water that affects almost any more than anything here. We did see the opening in that wall. I could have sworn, I don't know this for a fact, I thought I saw it yesterday with the whole crowd sitting there totally completed.
Nice.
I think they might have had it just open there for the Gators and still doing some work out on the course. But you're right. It would totally suck if you went through that. One thing I think that I realized a couple of years ago with this hole, got to remember there's a hill right behind the basket, and that really just slows everything down. Snare's got this snapped over, but comes around that little clump. She's going to have a look at birdie. But utilizing that hill behind, you got to try to take that to your advantage.
Oh, an early release from Kristin. Not enough to make it over to land. She's going to be taking it from the drop zone. Complete misfire.
Now, either my Estonian is getting better or she spoke English there, because I think she immediately said, "Oh my God," she let go of the disc. You could tell she knew it just came out so early. Oh, and look at this by Paige Pierce. What a beautiful shot. There you go. Amazing. She didn't even think about that. Just stepped up and executed.
And it is a straightforward shot. There's not a ton to deal with. Just throw it with enough power to make it over the water. Trying to force the flip up. It has enough to carry through.
What do you think flatness and stiffness on this?
Somewhat flat, neutral stiffness. This is a good disc right here.
Purple and orange. Got it. Two more.
Danny, this is a sick one.
Dude, I gotta get through all these today.
Cheers to a good day, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's good.
It's a hard day.
That's great.
When I need to check the wind, I just let out my hair.
Disc golf is 90% mental. The other 10% also mental.
If you want to make new friends on the course, pick up someone's disc in the fairway.
As we come back, disc in air for Kristin Tattar, just nestling it up there for her bogey. We don't see that a lot. First of all, we very rarely see a shot like that, on these featured cards. But it seems like she just maybe got a little too quick and just, wasn't totally locked in on the shot. She just early released it by 40 feet.
Yep, complete misfire. If you're doing that on the wooded holes, you're hitting that first available tree. Let's hope she can.
Look at that.
Adjust.
Snack offerings. You see that?
I think I saw something yesterday. Was it candy?
I don't know. It might be candy or bananas. I'm not sure what it is.
Oh, wow. A whole cooler.
Yeah, just saw
full.
that. Yeah, exactly.
You see ripples from Mark getting ready to wade in the water. for some more discs, but Sarah Hokom very focused for her birdie putt.
Paige just digging out some of them wood chips. Get herself a nice stable
knee placement.
Yeah.
Not
I was
footing.
gonna say footing, but no, for her knee. She did this on the first day. And able to execute, and the big crowd loves it. And there's look at that. That's a whole group of people. I think some of them camped there. Get that front row spot. Get that front row spot. That's pretty cool. Ooh. Just a little bit of a yank up. She stayed in bounds. That's what I'm thinking. The beat was off. You know, on the offbeat.
Oh my, that almost fell out of her hand short, but made it over the rim into the basket for her par.
Oh, I think it is candy. And there was a tap in there. I think there's some candy.
Starburst.
Oh, Starburst, man. Gotta love the Starburst. There we go. Hole 8 in the books. And look at that. There's Scuba Mark. We're going to bring Terry Miller in here.
All right. Terry in the water.
Mace, do you want some candy?
And just when you thought your watch party was great at home, look at the watch party that we have here. This is hole number 8. The 8 holes is what they're called. Of course, certainly enjoying their time here. Always a party here on hole number 8. Candy, beverages, and most important, they're cheering on all of our players out here. Everybody's having a great time. I'm sure we'll see and hear them throughout the rest of the day. I'm getting offered candy. I'm out of here. We'll see you guys on hole 9.
And that feels like one of those college football, pregame shows. And we're heading over to hole 9, par 4, 420 feet. There's a lot to say about this hole. Starts off with an uphill drive to land you at the top of the hill here, giving you a great viewpoint toward the green, which slopes all the way down. And it is kind of like an island green. We've got water in front of the basket with this little bit of a canal. We have the pond on the right-hand side, which can come into play on the upshots. But it's all about where the drive lands to set you up for the next shots on this hole. So it is a par 4. If players are in the perfect spot on their drive, we can see birdie opportunities. But again, it's very technical.
Yeah, one of the big holes that at this point, Paige Pierce needs to avoid anything kind of crazy. Just get one to the top of the hill, get one to the bottom of the hill, pitch up, get your par, move on, because this is one that can add up quickly if you just get caught up in the wrong positions and try to make too much of it. But look at that. There's our top 10 leaderboard. Elaine King 1 under par through 9 holes. She didn't have the best day yesterday, but having a much better day today. And there's our tournament leader, Paige Pierce, at 1 over par. The 8 holes. I mean, giving out some candy. We need some candy in here. It's early out here on the West Coast. But that was great. What a bunch of energy that's been going on out there. And now we know for sure that was the crowd that we heard from across the lake.
Looks like so much fun. We can only imagine what the crowds will be as the day continues on. It is Sunday, Championship Sunday here at MVP Open at Maple Hill. It's an exciting day. It's great to be there live and in person, watching the shots come in, but we're so happy to be here bringing you the live coverage from the comfort of your home. If you are having a watch party, we'd love to see some pictures. So make sure you're tagging Disc Golf Pro Tour on all the social media outlets. I know there's going to be a little party at Bevel, I'm sure, once we open at 11 o'clock here on the West Coast. but we're having a good time watching it, and it is still a tight battle. We're almost halfway through. Sarah Hokom, 5 strokes back, but playing so consistent. We just saw her miss an opportunity for birdie, so lost a stroke, but she's still right there. So if any opportunity that Paige slips up, we know that Sarah's game is put together enough that she could sneak in there.
Yeah, I mean, Paige or Sarah has really just shown she's ready to pounce. If at this point, Paige has been playing far and away the best of anybody in the tournament. But if she slips up at all, and I still think that this hole number 9 could be a little bit of a potential pitfall if she just can get past this. Then she's got a few holes without any water or big things to worry about. She's played hole 10 extremely well up to this point, and she's played hole 12 extremely well to this point. So, let's get through this 9th hole for Paige, and seems like smooth sailing. But yeah, Kristin Tattar played well in the early going. She's given back just a few, but still, she's been playing well. And at the end of the day, for a player like Kristin Tattar, it's all about experience. This is just such great experience for her. The other 3, all world champions, they've had plenty of experience, but Kristin picking up some experience and able to hold her own, which I think is awesome. It's just great to see her kind of holding her own in the group.
Right. And to describe just the play, I mean, Paige Pierce is playing incredible golf, but at the same time, making big errors. Strokes are adding up. While Sarah Hokom and Kristin Tattar, I feel like, are playing just very good, steady disc golf. And so it's fun to watch it all unfold. Scores are still tight up there, and I know we're waiting a little bit on hole 9. You can get hung up with the second card, the third card. You can get into some trouble off of the tee, so we do expect backups on this one. But hey, check this out. We have the last card of MPO.
And the 8 holes are giving them some love. Inbounds it. Yeah, this is the infamous DFL card. At the end of the day, we're all competing in a tournament, and you kind of just got to deal with any of the results. And so these boys are still battling along. Oh, we can see that one had to end up OB. The 8 holes didn't give them any love. Let's see here for this third one.
Just a shout out while they're live. We've got Joe Bishop, Sean Rogagero, and Sean Dautron. We might see more of them, so I got to get to know their names. So throwing it out there, we're back with the second card here, and that is Kona Starpanis.
Looking at the glass half full, those guys got a good view of this championship round for our FPO. They're right there. They get to see it all unravel.
Right.
Yeah, keep up right behind them, and you get to almost see almost all the shots. So just glass half full there a little bit.
And especially with these backups, I mean, they're fitting right in with the spectators. There in the pink shirt, Haley King in this group.
I think this is Missy Gannon. Can't tell exactly, but 99% sure.
Oh. And safe. Risky putt to go for, but we're back on the tee with our lead card on hole 9.
Paige asking for it to settle, and look at that. She's done exactly what she needs to do right at the top of the hill. So part 1 of this 4-part series is in the book. She's got it to the top of the hill. I think to the bottom of the hill would be the next part, and pitch on over and walk to the next tee pad.
Hokom's got a chance to be aggressive here, and it's going to end up early on the right-hand side of the fairway. And that was great to get the pan, so we are still at the top of the hill. It's going to have an interesting angle. It's just going to be a layup to the bottom of the hill for her.
Cat throwing that flippy disc again, getting it up and over the top of the hill. She's going to be in good position, assuming she got a decent bounce there to be aggressive on this 9th hole. And there you go. You can see it right there. That T sign, par 3. So it has played as a par 3 over the years, but it's playing as a par 4 this year. Kristin, I heard it hit the top of the hill, bounced straight up. She ended up in the middle, and she's going to be just up at the top of the hill. So we're going to stick with this, as it won't be just a few seconds until Kristin gets to her shot. Now we see our penultimate group.
That's my favorite word you say.
I watch too much golf coverage. That's the words they would use. There's a tap in by Kona.
I could be like playing bingo. I could be one of the places. Penultimate. I won't ask you to spell it, but I love when you say it. Looks like they're going fishing on the second card.
I hope that's Kona's disc. The one thing I can say, I'll give you a little advice. Don't ever fish out one of your competitors' discs, because when you lose it, that's not a good feeling. I've been there before. Hey, man, I'll get that for you. I'll get that for you. And then all of a sudden it starts floating away. You're like, dang it. Why did I offer to help?
And then they're going, wait, did they lose it on purpose? What's the deal with this guy, Nate Doss, losing my disc?
This guy's no fisherman. But, so just a little advice for those people out there.
Good advice, pro tip.
Just hold their hand while they reach into the water and don't let go.
Yeah, don't let go. Absolutely.
All right, we're having a little fun here in the booth, but we're back to Kristin. She did hit, I think, the top of the hill, or just had a low release. She's just barely crept about 80 feet up the hill here. Hit a late tree there. I think she got over onto the other side of the hill there, and she's going to have a tricky upshot from that point.
We're going to see where Hokom ended up. It's very tight to that right-hand side. So James Conrad over here yesterday tucked a little bit farther into the trees, went for an overhand shot, pumped it out there, made it down to the bottom of the hill. But I expect where Sarah's lie has ended up, I expect that shot, sidearm shot around.
Yeah, and it's a really tight angle. This is where the road actually comes up from behind 8. Just from looking at it from here, 3,000 miles away, I would think a backhand, just a nice little backhand turnover down into the middle would be the ideal shot. But we talked about it earlier in the round. This limits her. She's forced to throw a sidearm. There's a much more difficult angle with a sidearm because it's just sort of, you have to throw it kind of straight up and down.
I always think it's so fun to watch her throw these types of shots, just the way that she has to manipulate her body to throw that angle. And a good shot at the bottom of the hill. She's now level with the basket and the green. Level with the green, not the basket.
Well, I think she's level she's kind of on the side of the hill there. In another camera, we can see where it landed. But in contrast, had she been able to throw the turnover, it would have turned over and carried, assuming she didn't hit any trees, carried down into the middle. So that's where I'd like to see Sarah try the backhand. See what Paige has got for us. Being aggressive. She's going for that green. Oh, and the rich get richer. Look at the backspin off that tree.
That was huge.
That was huge, but this is also where she missed a putt. She missed a putt there in the first round and actually putted it in the water. So Paige staying aggressive. And here's Kat. She did actually take a kick into those woods. I think this is actually where James Conrad was yesterday. It's tricky. It's a big clump of woods there she's in. Ooh, and hit early and kicked, I think, deeper into it. Still some battling going on there.
Just shots just being sprayed all over this fairway. It's such a technical drive and upshot. You end up in the trees. And where Catrina is, the trees are just so skinny. And when there's so many of them clumped together, it really makes, you can't throw a disc through the openings. So thankfully, she's got a chance to reach out this time.
Yeah, she's up there inbounds and safe. Long putt for par from there.
Yeah, that would be very risky if she goes for that. She hasn't gotten anything going yet in today's round, and be a lot if she forced that putt.
We see Sarah Hokom where she landed. She's really had just kind of a Sarah Hokom round at this point, the way she's played in this tournament. All pars and just one birdie.
A lot more color on the other scorecards, but
now,
blue and bogeys.
Now she goes for the backhand. You're getting me, Sarah. You're getting me. Get up. Oh, nice. Just up and over the top of the wall there. She's going to have a par putt from that point. Proud to see her go for that backhand, though, because it's the proper shot. And she works on it constantly. We know that. She's always trying to use it more. And so nice shot there by Sarah.
And look at this. We've got a sidearm.
Yeah. It's a clinic. Now sit down. Ooh, I think it whacked the camera. Cameraman's okay, but camera probably a little damaged.
Was that the camera?
I
thought it was the tree and he just fell.
I think it hit the camera.
Holy cow.
That was one of our cameramen out there. But, this is one of those situations where you're thankful the camera was there. Hits the camera, kicks her into a favorable spot. I have to remember, everybody at home, the cameras are actually a part of the course because you can't get one without the other. You got to have the cameramen in there. If they come into play, they're just a part of the course, whether good, bad, or the other. And so everybody's okay. The camera seems okay as well.
And Mo is up and walking away. Here we go. Wow.
Part three of this 4-part story. Smart move by Paige, especially since there's a little bit of breeze kicking up, and she also missed an air ball. She airballed a putt there in the first round, and I think a very, very smart move, especially since none of her closest competitors are even looking at birdies at this point. Mini fist pump there for Sarah Hokom. What a nice execution of the par save there. And Kristin able to do the same. So the only one that's going to take a blemish here is Catrina Allen, who's tapped in for bogey. That's 9 holes in the books. Right there. Let's take a look at hole 10. Let's take a look at the whole preview.
Hole 10, par 3, 255 feet, and we're going uphill, gradual uphill the entire way. This is a pump. It says 255 feet, but it plays more 300, 320. So you really have to put a move on it to reach the basket. It is a narrow fairway yet again here at Maple Hill. You've got the pine trees on the right-hand side. You've got the woods on the left. But as long as you can get it up there, and I like the right-hand side, it's more open. If you can get it up there, you're going to be a little bit more even with the basket, making putting a little bit easier. If you land short and you put yourself right at the base of that MVP banner, you're going to have a very steep putt, and that's going to be really difficult to make at that angle.
Absolutely. Looking at the statistics, and it's tough because the stats here for the ladies division, there's only 30 people, so it's not quite as accurate over 150, like we see on the men's side. But playing as the fourth easiest hole, just slightly over par, but we saw the group yesterday. All 4 ladies were right up, I think, even in the circle or very close to it. So a birdie opportunity for everybody in our card today for sure. And, Terry said it in the opening. Paige Pierce wanted to get to that back 9 with still a sizable lead. And by all means, 5 strokes is still very sizable. Disc in air, right at the bottom of the castle. For Paige Pierce, that's going to be a very elevated putt. But we'll see.
It's always so tough because think of the angle to putt at the basket. I mean, it's almost like you're throwing it at a, what would that be?
Yeah, like 45. A 45. Yeah, I mean,
and so you risk hitting and then coming back.
Yeah.
Because you're not really penetrating into the chains. So that angle is just tough.
It is very, very tough. Oh, you could hear her say, oh no, she snapped it over into those woods immediately. And that's going to be a little bit of work for Sarah on this gettable 10th hole. Kristin got a nice flip on that. And that's going to be an extremely elevated putt as well. Those will just be kind of interesting to see how they go ahead and attack them. I've seen even players stand there and throw overhands into the basket from that point. That's how high that wall is.
I'm going to flip up. I'm going to land on the left-hand side of the fairway. We're going to catch up with the women in just 1 minute.
We're back with Sarah Hokom, and as I was saying, she's created a little bit more work for herself than she would like.
Caddy and supporter Robin is on the cart today and has been through the weekend, discussing what the best play is from here. Tight angle for this backhand.
Oh, sit. Oh, sit. Oh, sit. Okay. Jesus. That's exactly how you rolled out the hip.
She said everything that we would have said. Sit, sit, sit on that wall, because that wall can get real. You can get a big back kick off of it, but she's just below the basket. And for a putt like Sarah's, hopefully she came back a little bit, because she has such a low push putt that this super elevated putt could become a real problem for her.
How low she goes to
Yeah.
how high she has to finish.
Exactly. Could be a challenge for her.
This is the farthest putt now for the group, but might feel the most comfortable. And big putt from Catrina Allen. She needed that. She needed to get something going.
Roll the Zuka replay, and bam, there it is. She did that yesterday too, making a huge putt from that left side. She feels comfortable from over there, that's for sure. And Sarah has kicked. Oh, you see that? I saw a little turbo potential. We'll see what Sarah has to do here. She did kick back just a little ways.
I have seen Sarah throw turbos, so that's not really out of the ordinary, but
I don't see how her normal putt could work. I really don't. She's reacting. Yeah. The problem is though, even though she's practicing her normal putt and trying to go higher, when you go ahead and execute it, it's going to be, into your normal zone. So see a turbo here. I've also heard this called a pizza putt. Dominoes.
how often are you practicing these?
Oh, there we go. Nice. Nice by Sarah Hokom.
It's not often you're pulling those out, especially not for Sarah Hokom. You know a few players that is their go-to putting style, and they can can them and cash them from all over the place.
So Paige Pierce has taken her legal relief, her legal stance, full 11 inches. And there she goes. She's popped it in. Just a reminder for everybody at home, you get 11 inches behind the back of your lie. And Kristin's using her disc. I think that's a fairly safe way to estimate that. Ooh. And there you go. That's the challenge. I mean, it's so much elevation. It's an awkward little, and there we go. Hole 10's in the books. We're going to have quite a bit of a break here. We do have a little bit of backup. All of our cameramen are going to get into position. So we're going to take a break here, and we'll be back with you in a few minutes.
18's Island Green. Many golfers over the years have stepped onto this course. Few have become champions. Almost all of them have fell and failed. Too many to be named. See, for me, it's hard to explain. I'm young, still just a handful of years into this game, this sport. And at this moment in time, not many folks know who I am. Hello, my name is Gage Benson, and welcome to Maple Hill. Maple Hill is a beast. 400-foot shots over water, tunnel fairways with plenty of OB, a gallery of a few hundred people to watch you fail land safely on 18's Island Green. You think you can walk amongst these hills and not get pushed around? Well, think again, buddy. So for those of you who are new around here, good luck. And to the folks who will be returning, welcome back. You all will be witnessing the modern era of disc golf and the start of the Pro Tour. Maple Hill has crushed streams and crowned champions for over a decade. Way before my time. And she isn't going to stop anytime soon.
Pyro. Hey guys, Gary with MVP Discs here, and today we're getting our first look at the Axiom Discs Prism Proton Pyro. The Prism Pyro is the first overstable midrange from Axiom Discs, making its stock debut in Prism Proton plastic. The Pyro has a speed of 5, glide of 4, turn of 0, and a fade of 2.5. The Prism Proton Pyro was designed as Axiom's first overstable midrange, with more glide than the MVP Deflector and a commanding stable finish. The Pyro will be able to handle full power throws, either backhand or forehand styles, while maintaining a stable flight. This can be used to shape unique flight lines and also be handy in windy situations. The Prism Pyro is debuting in a stock triple foil stamp. That, in combination with the Proton Core and Prism Rim, produces a stunning dual-toned translucent disc. This outer rim provides maximum durability, giving this midrange a long life of stable flights. At speed 5, the Pyro will be useful off the tee and also shine on approach shots. With that reserved glide and a strong fade, the Pyro will be great for placement shots when you want to control your range. But watch your approach angle, as this mid can produce a decent-sized skip on landing. So, if you're looking for a new workhorse overstable midrange, visit your local pro shop today and pick up an Axiom Prism Proton Pyro.
And we're back. Welcome back. We are on the 11th tee. Our first couple of competitors have already teed off, both Paige Pierce and Sarah Hokom, both down there in the middle. There you go. And Kristin's got an eye on it as well. And you can see Catrina's already teed off as well. So they're going to head on down to 11. And if you've followed along with us for the first couple of days and probably for years, actually, with this MVP Open, you understand how difficult it is to cover 11 and 12.
Yeah.
So we're going to see some shots from 13. We'll talk about the scores, see a couple commercials, and we'll keep an eye on UDisc just to see how our competitors are doing. But we do send one camera down 11, so maybe we might be able to catch a couple of shots as well down there. And here's our top 10 leaderboard. We've already taken a look at it quite a bit. At this point, almost everybody kind of locked in to their positions for the most part. But Elaine King is probably the name that I noticed on there just because she's 1 under par. She's on par with the leaders of our featured group. So Elaine playing well.
Yeah, she is. And you can see the arrow next to her name moving up 4 places today. And Elaine is just such a solid player. Whereas, maybe everybody else is getting a little sluggish. We're into a 3rd round, after a couple of practice rounds. But Elaine is such a steady player. And she's got the experience behind her. And she's moving her way up today. But we see everybody kind of just middle of the road rounds today. We know that Paige got into some trouble early on, but has been able to make up those strokes as we've continued through the course. Back to 6 up over Sarah Hokom in 2nd place at 5 under. Kristin Tattar they're still battling.
Mhm.
I think the battle between those two and who's going to take that second spot and who's going to keep the pressure on Paige is still up to be determined.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's tough. It's tough for the other players to be in this position, but still, there's a lot to play for. Second, third, and fourth. There's points. For the disc golf pro tour, there's obviously money, and there's also some bragging rights. There's some confidence going into a couple big events coming up. We heard Kristin say in her interview yesterday that they're going to head up to Canada, play the Canadian Nationals, and then come back down for the last regular season event for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, the Green Mountain Championship, happening up in Vermont. I think there's still a lot to play for at this point. It's not just, Paige is going to win this one and forget about it. There's still a lot going on.
There is. We've got this event to finish up today, then the Green Mountain Championships, and then we're making our way into the finals of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So the season right now is really hitting. We had the World Championships. It was just always like the climax and the mountain of our sport. But there's still a lot of great tournaments still left in this season. And it's crazy to think we're already getting into September.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. And last year's World Championships were in September because it sort of took the replacement of the GMC because it was happening at Smuggler's Notch. So this year it happened at the Ledgestone, in Peoria area where the Ledgestone is normally held. And so, it was an exciting World Championships, but still a lot to go on here, especially because we have the GMC. Then we have the two national championships. We have both the women's U.S. championship as
End
well
of
as
September.
end of September. The men's at the beginning of October. Then we have a few big events towards the end of the year as well, with the end of the national tour and eventually the end of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So really a lot still left to play for at this point. And the way I always looked at it was really, you're prepping for the Worlds, really, no matter what you're doing. You're prepping for that World Championship. It would almost be like Augusta National. You got a year for that for your golfers, or any number of majors in any number of other sports. And that really starts the weekend after that Worlds. It starts to get ready for the next one. So as much confidence as you can build, as many victories or great finishes you can try to stack up, that confidence is going to start building all the way around the horn for the next year's World Championship.
For sure. And as the season continues on, the more rounds that you play, the more chances you put yourself into these positions at these high level tournaments, just your experience gets better. Your skills just start to hone in so well. And so everybody's game is really heightened to that next level. And so competition gets greater as the season wears on. And, at the same time, it could wear on these touring players that have been out there since March is when the Disc Golf Pro Tour kicked off in Fountain Hills, which was fun to cover early this year. But it's a long touring season for disc golfers, and we know that they're on the road pretty much full time. There's not a lot of chances for these players to go home because there's tournaments every weekend. And then they start traveling internationally, and then they're back again for major like the World Championship. So some players can start to get a little burned out, but this is the end of the season when you really need to be on point.
Yeah, exactly. It's a part of the job to play it at this time of year. And I always looked forward to this time of year. There's a few just absolutely fantastic tournaments. Plus, you get to hang out in the Northeast with a bunch of fun people, a lot of great personalities,
great beer.
Yeah, lots going on. Yeah, a lot of good beer as well, of course. Speaking of the Northeast, we've had some news about the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Of course, Steve Dodge, who's the TD for this weekend here at the MVP Open at Maple Hill, was the starter of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. He was the visionary for that, and he's ran it, very well up to this point. Of course, there's always an opinion by one person or another, but the tour has changed hands. Steve is going to go ahead and take a break, take a step back, and on comes Jeff Spring. Jeff Spring is now coming to the forefront as the Disc Golf Pro Tour director. And the one thing, if you guys at home, and what a huge putt there by Paige Pierce for birdie, and Paige is feeling very, very comfortable at this point. For those of you at home that haven't heard the name Jeff Spring, you're going to start to get to know that name a lot more. A lot of the touring players know Jeff. They're very, very comfortable with Jeff. And I think Steve has done a great job in really putting Jeff Spring in that position to try to be successful. And we're so thankful for Steve and everything he's done. And we look forward to what the tour has in store for us.
Very well said. And yep, thank you to Steve Dodge for coming up with such a great idea of the Disc Golf Pro Tour to really elevate the game and represent the professional side of the game. And we know that Jeff Spring's just going to take that idea and continue to run with it. And we are happy to be here and support the events with live commentary, as we know that this is the future of disc golf, continuing to show the world how incredible these players are. And speaking of incredible players, we're checking in. This is hole 13. We have Lisa Fakis on the tee pad.
Oh, and Lisa's yanked that super high. She did the same thing yesterday, got it way off to the right there. Oh, and is there even a tree over there? I mean, she came back right into the middle. We see her disc there. And now we're going to see Amanda Melwicki. I know that name. We saw Amanda in the very first round of our featured coverage. Oh, she's got this on a nice line. If the disc can come back a little bit. Oh my goodness, she got all the way through.
Huge drive.
Incredible. Those trees are really, I guess, not a factor this morning on this championship Sunday. That's always a nice thing. So you're right, though. The Disc Golf Pro Tour and really live coverage and these tours sort of coming together is the future. And Jeff is jumping both feet in. The other name that you've probably seen out there is a man by the name of Todd Rainwater. Todd is a Texas native. We met Todd years ago. Todd also has a residence in Massachusetts, and he actually built, along with the support of many people, a beautiful course out on the island of Nantucket. And we were brought out to Nantucket a few years ago, taught some locals, and now there's a wonderful tournament there. If you've ever heard of the Raz Round, I think it actually is now happening at the Dynamic Discs event, the GBO. But the Raz Round was started by Todd. Cowbells, screaming, whistles, horns, all that good stuff. 3 holes for $1,000. What a fun event that is. So we all have Todd to thank for that. But Todd has stepped in to the Pro Tour and is the owner, if you will, for lack of a better term, in that position. And so Todd has also very confidently put Jeff in position to run the tour. And I know that each and every one of the players that is a part of it is excited. And so thank you to all of those people for everything that has come together.
And a nice shot from Elaine King after landing at the top of the hill. Again, hole 13. And big smiles from Elaine. Clearly still playing very well. She's tied for 6th place.
Yeah, and tournament inside a tournament, there's always that because, 6th is better than 7th and 5th is better than 6th, all those types of situations. Really, Rebecca Cox is kind of in no man's land. She is at 2 over par. The closest person to her above is Catrina Allen at 2 under. The closest person her below is a tie for 7th with Elaine King, Haley King, and Lisa Fakis all at 7 over. So these 3 in this group, along with Haley, or 2 in this group and 1 with Haley, are battling for that 6th place finish. Look at the air time on that shot from Kat, and the crowd loves it. Well, that's the best drive I've seen from her to this point, for sure.
And just to update you on the scores, it was just a solo birdie for Paige on that 11th hole. Everyone else carded their pars. You can hear the crowd continue to grow behind these players. Last on the box, Kristin Tattar.
Oh, she's got it up. Is it going to have enough turn? It's trying. As long as it lands in the short grass. Yeah, she's going to have just a couple of chips to try to get her par on this one. So we're going to cruise back over to 13. This is where Mel Wickie's drive ended up, on the far right side of this green area. And just a chip up for her par. Amanda not having her best day. She was actually holding strong in there for quite a while throughout this tournament. She had a very solid first round, had a decent second round, but today it has been really just a tough day. Multiple double bogeys for Amanda, 1 triple bogey, actually 2 triple bogeys in there. So tough day for Amanda on the course. But again, it's all about experience.
And these tournaments really bring out the best players in the world. So it means a lot to see players that are up and coming, like Amanda Melwicki, coming and putting themselves in that position to play with these women. You have to really get out there, go on the disc golf tour, and play and put yourself in this position to play against players. I mean, she's in a group with Elaine King.
Right.
I mean, 5-time Women's Open World Champion, I believe 3-time Masters World Champion. She's going to be learning so much. And that's one of the things, we talk about when amateurs are deciding to go pro, putting yourself in those positions to play with better players. Even in the AM side, I mean, playing intermediate, once you bump yourself up to the next stage, it's going to put the pressure on. You're going to see better shots. It's going to force you to throw better shots. You're going to just expand your knowledge so quickly when you get yourself playing with those better players. You can, that is what you need to do to excel your game to the next level. So it's not about maintaining at that one certain level, that one division, but put yourself in an unfamiliar spot and challenge yourself. And that's the only way you're going to get better.
And we see the leaderboard just here with Paige. Now, Paige, this isn't the normal spot we've seen Paige in the first 2 rounds. She's much further back, it looks like, so a lot more difficult of an angle. But also, there's just trickle effect from the regional, the local small regions, maybe a Tri-Cities type area, small town, 3 towns, and maybe plays a lot of tournaments. Then you got your kind of your state region, and then you got your bigger region, maybe 2 or 3 states. These all things kind of trickle eventually to the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And Amanda Melwicki might take the experience she's had here and go back to her local events and be able to play much better and just have a different perspective, a different way that you look at it. There's just something about being on tour where you get to play every single day versus weekend warrioring or, going out after work, in the summertime and just getting a round in. this is a different experience.
Yeah, totally. Good now? Cool.
Paige was just talking about the spotter having a lot of energy and just engaging with all the players. And that is what this tournament is. You're going to see the same faces out here volunteering year after year. You're going to see the same guy swimming in the pond for your discs. You're going to see the same people cooking you dinner at night and helping out with the games in the evening. It's that family atmosphere. And if you've been to this tournament enough, you'll know the faces. Paige likes it. And I think that's a very nice shot. Had a great height, great turnover angle. And if it flew at the turnover angle far enough, I mean, you really have to penetrate down into the woods to get it the same distance as the basket because it's way down there. But yeah, Paige wasn't in the most ideal spot, but made up for it right there.
I mean, she said yes right away. She went, yes. Like she knew she just hit her line.
And this has been one of her more incredible holes of the tournament. She's landed herself at the opening at the top of the hill the previous 2 rounds, making it a lot easier to throw that up shot, but still very technical. And she has parked it in the 2 previous rounds. So it'll be interesting to see where she ends up today and to see if she'll be able to get her 3rd birdie in a row on hole 12.
12 plays is the 4th most difficult hole in the course at nearly a stroke over par today anyways, but probably averaged over the 3 days, I would say, something like a full stroke over par. And she's played it under par every single round to this point. So, I mean, just that fact right there, she's gaining multiple strokes on the field just on this one hole. Oh, there's the hailstorm.
Hailstorm, Haley King out of Wisconsin.
I'll miss it.
One of our young players just getting out on the disc golf tour. Finishing on the left-hand side, she'll have some trees to work with. We've got Missy Gannon on the tee pad.
Missy's had some really good results this season, and she has a nice kick. She's got a friend in Paige Pierce. They seem to have a good relationship. They're both sponsored by Dynamic Discs, and so it's always nice to have a friend like Paige on your side to give you advice and to help you through the tough times as well as the good. We just saw Rebecca kick out just a slight bit.
And so with that battle, Rebecca does have Elaine King nipping at her heels, but Haley King is also right there. It'll be interesting to see the Kings tying it up this weekend.
Yeah. Rebecca is kind of allowing those other people to potentially come in. She just took a double bogey on 13. Look at this. Oh, man. What a beautiful shot there.
I mean, if that tree were not there, that disc would have hyzered up, and that would have been an incredible ace run.
Yeah, for Kona. And Kona really played the back like 6 or 7 holes yesterday incredibly well. And so we'll see how she's able to finish today. That was a good start. We're going to eventually work our way back over to hole 12 as we see our lead card, featured card finish up. I just saw in another camera angle, I did see Kristin Tattar throw her 3rd shot down towards the basket. And we'll see now Sarah Hokom in the woods here.
And there's a lot to work with here. I mean, maybe not a lot to work with. A lot of branches
options. Yeah.
that she's got to work with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, while Sarah is contemplating this, we'll see where Missy Gannon landed here. And her upshot on 13. Ooh, hit off the bridge there. Little Mac, and now we're back with Sarah on 12.
Punch it through. That's all she's trying to do. Find the smallest gap there in the trees and throw it hard.
Crowd likes it.
We can't see a thing.
Yeah, the crowd probably even has a better perspective than Sarah in this case. And now we're back on 13 with Rebecca Cox. Rebecca's got some of the best hair game out on the tour. I love when she throws her drive. If we had some slow-mo of it, her hair just pops up and floats in the air for just a few seconds.
And she's got such a strong whip on her drives.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's pretty incredible. And we're seeing Kristin Tattar.
Yeah, Kristin
dropping
just
in that
tapped
putt.
in. Yep, that was for par. We have now Paige Pierce inside circle 1.
Putting for birdie. Yet again. And there it is. 3 for 3 on hole 12 of the tournament. That's an incredible feat. I doubt that she's done it any other year. I've barely seen any birdies on this hole. That's amazing. She just made this hole look so easy.
And there's that save out of the woods for Sarah Hokom. And now Catrina. Boom. There she goes. And she'll go running up the hill. And as our featured card makes their way back up to the 13th tee, we see our second card on that 13th basket.
Ooh, an aggressive putt from Rebecca. Out of frame, so I wasn't able to see where that ended up, but that could have sent her sailing down the hill past the basket. Not what she needs right now. Not what anybody needs ever, actually.
Yeah, I would say the only person that wants that are the other 3 competitors maybe in the group because they might be able to gain a stroke. I don't think a lot of the players think that way, but yeah, you know, sometimes the misfortune of one player is the fortune of another, and that's just the way sports are. Now we see Kona. This is for birdie. She had that beautiful drive, that late kick. Oh my goodness. And oh,
Dancing on the rim,
yeah.
hitting the chains, bouncing up to the rim, and then just pausing there for a second, only to fall out the backside. Ugh, heartbreaker.
Now Haley King for par. Able to smash that in there.
Get such good extension, using her long arms to really fully extend toward the basket and right in the heart. And fortunate for Rebecca, here's where that putt ended up.
Boy, and Rebecca really bringing a lot of players back into the fold for that 5th place position. As just a few minutes ago, I was talking about how she was in no man's land. She was at 2 over, and the closest was 7. And now she's going to give 2 double bogeys back to back. And that brings that whole group of players at 7 over into the fold for 5th place. That includes Elaine King. It includes Missy Gannon. So we're going to pop back up to the top of the hill. We see Paige Pierce sitting here with a nice, comfortable lead at this point. That she is actually at 13 under par. There's a little bit of a lag happening over at UDisc. I'm sure the boys are working on that feverishly at the moment.
And while we are on hole 13, it'd be nice to take a look at the hole preview. We've seen the players ahead of her playing this hole.
And that whole preview is coming up here in just a second, and we'll see it. It's a unique hole to see the flyby of.
Not sure if we're going to get that whole preview on this hole, but it is 400 feet, par 3,
there it
downhill. Don't look at the numbers down below, but we're going to clear the pine trees here and shoot through the gap, down the tunnel. It all tightens up as we head our way to the basket over that valley where we saw that little bit of a bridge Missy Gannon putting from. And here is that basket. So back into the woods we go. A little bit more technical after these last 2 holes of 11 and 12. Really getting into the tight woods again. Paige is sitting in a great position. This is the kind of cushion she was asking for in the final 9 holes. And so we've got just 6 holes to play. Paige Pierce is up 7 just as she started the round. And I believe the lead card is going to be waiting as we're watching the second card teeing off on hole 14. Hole 14's tee pad is just to the right of the fairway of the green on 13. So any nice shot there from Kona. And any ricocheted shots might affect the players down here on the tee. And you can see there's a lot of water, so we do not want any distractions.
Ooh, I like the line on this. Great speed. Just up underneath the basket. She'll have an uphill birdie putt from there for Rebecca Cox. And that's going to be everybody there on that hole. And now we're back up onto the top of the hill. We just see a couple conversations happening here.
You're clear, Paige. Yeah,
you're good. Good to go.
Thumbs up.
Nice. And as we cannot tell, because again, we're having some problems with UDisc and we're working on getting that fixed. But Catrina Allen did birdie that 12th hole the 12th hole. And so she still has the tee pad here.
Wow, look at how slow that disc was flying as it just barely missed that big tree on the left corner.
And now we have Paige Pierce here. In fact, the argument could be made that both Paige and Catrina parred the actual 12th hole. We'll find out here in just a little bit. Ooh, and Paige immediately lets this one go to the left. It has, ooh, and even chipped even further down the hill. So she's going to have a tough upshot from there. With a 7-stroke lead, Terry said it way back on the first tee. Paige was looking to get into that back nine with that sizable lead, and she has that sizable lead at this point. 7 strokes with just 7 holes to play. So, or 6 holes to play, excuse me. And yeah, so it's kind of it's one of those things that Paige just needs to continue to chug along. But there's still a battle for second place going on, and Sarah's got that snap down there over as well. Kristin Tattar now. Ooh, Kristin puts a nice hyzer whip on that. Does it have enough flip? Look at it going straight. Kick right. Oh, and it misses absolutely everything and heads down the hill. We are going to take a commercial break, and we'll catch up with you guys here in just a minute. We are back live with Sarah Hokom, her second shot. And have you ever wondered what would happen if Facebook was down for 30 seconds? There'd be billions of people around the world that freak out. This is what's happening with UDisc. It's been gone for 3 or 4 minutes now. We're all confused. We don't know how to live without it.
Yeah.
But I know the boys have been informed. They're working on it, so we'll get that up to date as soon as physically possible.
We just broke the internet. So we are on hole 13. So the number at the top of the screen is incorrect. And I believe that the scores also on the bottom of the screen are incorrect. And so once UDisc is back and running, that is where the information gets pulled from. So it's automatically updated as we go on. But technology is amazing, but sometimes you kind of get stuck.
Yep.
So we'll just wait for that to come back up. And until then, we've got the live coverage. So we're going to continue to watch these amazing players down the stretch. And we see Paige Pierce off in the distance there on the left-hand side of the fairway, looking for a route.
Yeah, she got way, way down in there. I've been over here before as well. It's no easy shot. Well, she was able to find a little bit of a gap. The crowd liked it, so we'll see where she ended up here in just a minute.
It's tricky throwing on that side of the green. You can see those little bumps and mounds and rocks. So if you hit that, it could send you rolling. But there's also a lot of little pockets that you can land in and still give you a pretty close putt. You see Kristin heading down the hill. Whoa, and she's way back there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful looking shot out of her hand. It was probably just a little high, a higher release. And with her puring that gap, she's just, gained so much distance down the hill. She probably only has about 70 or 80 feet, but she's got a little mini forest between her and the basket.
Oh,
yeah.
nice shot.
Look at that.
Wow, it took a little bit of a backdoor, little miracle angle that she found, but parks the basket. That's amazing. And now a little bit more on the left side of the green. You see Catrina Allen lining up her putt. Giving it a run for birdie. She'll have a tap in par. Here is where that upshot ended up for Paige Pierce.
Oh, and Paige unable to save that par there. And if you were at home just hitting refresh, UDisc Live is now back up and running. And we did see that on 12, Paige Pierce did par and Catrina Allen did birdie. So Catrina is now at 3 under par and Paige is at 12. So we're going to start to see all of those stats just sort of pop back in on our live coverage. So thank you to the guys at UDisc for working so feverishly and getting all of those so important scores back up for all of our fans at home, as well as us here in the booth.
It's everything.
It is.
It's everything to know the scores, to see what the other cards are doing as well. And UDisc is such a great technology to offer that for us and all of you at home.
Boy, and that was the longest that I saw Sarah stand over a putt this entire round. She's able to save a par, and if you were to be looking at her scorecard on UDisc, it's almost like, are they adding scores? Because there's just a bunch of pars, all white, almost no color, and just one birdie. But she's still holding strong right there in that second place position at 5 under par. And the players are going to walk on over to the 14th tee pad, and this is the look back from that basket.
So hole 14, it's a par 3, 285 feet. But as you can see, there's lots of water. So the players, you can see the tee pad off in the distance. So reverse your thinking. So players are going to throw big hyzers off of the tee. And you want to land right near and around that mulch, right near and around the basket, because you know you're going to get a skip off to the left. So landing there is going to give you a softer skip. But if you flail it out a little bit too much and you hit the road, you're going to end up in the woods that we see off to the right-hand side of our screen. So it's all about angle of release and height. But in the end, just make sure you get it inbounds. We know that Sarah Hokom is going to be throwing a sidearm on this hole, which is so tricky, but she's been able to execute it flawlessly the first 2 rounds. So let's see if she can continue to do that in today's round. She's flown that disc overland the entire way, which is a benefit for her. But any shot that lands out of bounds still goes from the drop zone.
Yep, absolutely. We just wanted to give you a little look at what 12 looked like. So roughly 24 hours ago, Catrina Allen stood on the green of this hole, just a few strokes back of Paige Pierce, and she ended up taking a double bogey. And that's a very similar spot that she was yesterday. So let's see if Kat can muster up a big putt from that point. At this point, the battle is for second place, really, as Catrina is actually at 3 under par. Our bottom scores haven't updated. Paige Pierce is at 11 as she did bogey the 13th hole. But Hokom and Tattar are at 5 and 4 respectively. Boy, and Sarah.
Settle down.
Settle, baby. Settle. Oh, nice. Shot of the day, seriously, for me, because the challenge of that is incredible. I can't even imagine having to throw a sidearm on that hole. So what a beautiful shot by Sarah Hokom.
Oh, and does this have enough height?
Oh, yeah, it does. A nice shot. And Kristin has a wonderful reaction there. She just big smile on her face. And here comes Paige Pierce, our tournament leader. I think at this point, if you're Paige Pierce, I throw it 50 feet past and pitch it up and walk to the next tee pad. I don't think there's any reason to go anywhere near this basket or near that lake. You could hear the umph. I think she really was just pounding it as hard as she could out there, and she's put it just about even with the basket. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll catch up with you on the green. We're back at the infamous place where Kat missed that putt. Look at her. She's going to run and just tap it out and just get away from this hole for now. And there she runs off. And there we go. Paige Pierce just laying up immediately. No
Chalk it up.
surprise. Yeah, no surprise here in the booth at all because I mean, at this point, what is the point? I mean, taking the trophy home is almost more important. Definitely is more important. I mean, it's not
That's
even an
why we're
almost.
here.
Yeah, I mean, I just what a stupid statement by me. It's a, you know, she knows at this point what it takes. She knows she's just got 5 holes left, and that opportunity for her to win an unprecedented number of these events is.
And we know this is one of the more risky putting situations that you can be put in. And really, you shouldn't be going for this putt unless it does mean everything. And so, I mean, for Sarah Hokom, she's got the best angle, though. There's all land behind her. So we know she's absolutely got her eye on the chains. And if this isn't distracting.
Yeah, those are those 8 holes over there.
What'd you call them?
Well, that's what they call themselves. And Sarah Hokom, beautiful putt there by Sarah to continue to gain not only on Paige Pierce, but also just shoot a great round here. Kristin Tattar doing the exact same thing. And here will be the tap out by Paige, and we're going to hear from Terry Miller here in just a second. As yep, they're still cheering there, and we see Terry on his way in with our cameraman. So let's go to Terry.
All right, there you have it. We're here, hole through 14. Not only did you probably hear the clapping going on over there by the 8 holes, but also Sarah Hokom heard the clapping going on. She had a little bit of a smirk on her face as she cans the very challenging putt for birdie. Now, as they were walking off the tee, Paige Pierce, was saying to Sarah, I think I'll use the term, damn, your drives on this hole have been like 1060 rated this weekend. And you got to say that. You look back to all 3 of the rounds here by Sarah Hokom on hole number 14, a hole that doesn't necessarily set up well for a 4-hander, and she has absolutely pured it every single time. Also, I was thinking back to a few holes ago, I caught up with Robin and we were watching some of the action, and Robin said, what are you, just a glorified weatherman out here? And he was mocking me as to what I was doing out here, giving some weather updates. 2 seconds later, Sarah walks up to her caddy, Robin, and says, so what's the wind doing up there? Well, Robin smirked at me, and of course I took over the duties. So it is gorgeous out here. The winds have been relatively light. Just a few holes left to play. We have to be thinking about how Catrina Allen came out and attacked this green again. She had the misstep yesterday, and it didn't seem to faze her. She stepped right up. She didn't convert the putt, but what I think is the most telling sign is that she attacked the putt. She didn't back down from it. Of course, Paige did what she needs to do, and she just laid it up. Just a few holes left to play before we crown our champion. Let's get back to the action.
And thank you, Terry, for that little update. We are on hole 15, par 3, 355 feet. Very technical tee shot. And the most important thing here is that drive. So I expect players to be pulling out an understable disc, working it to flat, and then working it back to the basket. This is a fun one if you can get the flight down and miss all those trees. Great birdie potential if your drive is on point. Otherwise, there's a lot of trees at the beginning of this hole, and hitting a tree knocks you down into this valley, and that could be trouble. So it's another birdie or bogey type of hole. And leading in with just 4 holes to play could mean all the difference.
We just see the players on the tee. You know, interesting. The players notice it as well. That shot by Sarah Hokom, it really is incredible. You know, I can't even imagine having the option to throw a shot that would go over the water the entire way, but that would finish away from the water, and forcing myself to just throw one that finished at the water. It shows how gutsy that Sarah is going on that hole, and how much confidence she has in those discs and in that shot.
Yeah, and how much control that she has, that the disc is gonna flip up, but then it's all about that finish and finishing at a flat angle and not skipping a ton, because otherwise that'd be water for her. And here she is flexing another sidearm shot, finishing down past the basket to the right.
Dead lined up with that big one. I mean,
that's
she's
gonna
right in
be
line with it.
a tough putt if she's able to even pop it up around the tree. And there's that nice flip up shot.
Yeah.
We saw a nice hyzer angle release and an understable disc working its way, turning itself over. We know that's the same kind of shot Catrina Allen's going to throw. That is one of her signature throws. You ever see a slow-mo of Kat throwing, you know how low she gets and how much angle she gets on her drives. And just even holding it in her hand right there. A lot of hyzer. And not able to flip it up at all.
And here we have the tournament leader, Paige Pierce. All of the scores at the bottom of the screen are accurate to the second.
Oh, yeah.
And that is the second time she has done that. Perfect drive by Paige Pierce. She's going to pick up another birdie for sure. And we're going to take a short break and meet up with Catrina Allen. And we're back here in the booth with our top 10 leaderboard. As we were at our break, Catrina Allen pitched up right up next to the basket, making an incredible up and down there for her. So she's going to save par here on this 15th hole. Val, we got just 4 holes left. The battle for tied for 5th, as we were talking about Rebecca Cox bringing other players into the fold.
Yep.
Look at Elaine King.
Boom, boom, boom,
3
boom, boom.
under par. Elaine King has the hot score on the course right now. I cannot say it enough. That is incredible.
Ooh, and Kristin giving it quite a run. Man, it's fun to see players really putting their foot to the gas in this final round here today. We're at the MVP Open at Maple Hill. Thank you guys for tuning in. We've just got a few holes left, and really anything can happen. I know that families and friends out there of these competitors are tuning in, and I know my mom just clocked in on YouTube, so she's tuning in right now as well. Hey, Mom. But we've got Sarah Hokom, closest to tightening that gap between first and second place, putting the pressure on Paige, but she's way outside for this putt.
Yeah. And as we saw from our angle on the drive, that big tree is dead in the way for her. She's going to have to try to throw just a big swooping hyzer putt. Yeah, it was a good effort. Ultimately, it was really a 99 out of 100 time miss there. But Paige Pierce, we know, is parked. But again, really the jostling at this point is now for second place. Hokom and Tattar are battling for that second place position. Looks like as Kristina is going to be out. Kristin, excuse me. All
Katrina didn't know.
Yeah, all these.
Katrina, Kristin, Kristina.
That's the way my mind works.
But Kat didn't know where her upshot had landed and
right.
was checking it out. Maybe she might have been out, but got informed that she parked it. So we got to see a smile out of Katrina today. And here's that drive from Paige. And rack up another birdie on Paige Pierce's scorecard.
Yeah, just it's a rainbow on Paige Pierce's card of colors. She's had pars and double bogeys and birdies, and who knows? We might even see an eagle on this next hole. She did eagle it yesterday. So get a little dark blue in there. Here's Sarah Hokom. I don't think we need to say anything else. That says everything you need to know. And there we are, hole 15. Let's take a look at 16, Val.
On to 16, par 4, 530 feet. And this is such a fun shot to throw. Very technical off the front of the fairway. Very narrow. You're going to hit that middle gap. And it's all about the finish here. We know Sarah Hokom's sidearm finishes off to the right, but we're going to see a lot of these players punching it out the gap. We saw Paige Pierce yesterday go long in the basket, make her comeback putt for eagle, as it is, again, a par 4. Let's see if anybody can punch out the gap. Let's see if we can get some more putts on this hole, but that was an incredible feat yesterday by Paige. And she snaps it over.
And then it kicks back to the left side of the fairway. It'll be a little scrambling for her there. Both 16 and 17 play as some of the easiest holes to par for our ladies field. And so a couple of birdie opportunities here. And this is where we could see Tattar and Hokom either switch spots or see Hokom extend her lead. Ooh, she took a little kick there too. Yeah, 16 playing is the second easiest, and then 17 playing as the easiest hole. So back-to-back, very, very easy holes to par. Kristin missing her line immediately.
But sounding really clean.
Yeah, didn't hear anything hit, so I think she got pretty far up to the right there.
High, it's turning over and gets a late kick, bouncing her to the left-hand side. She might finish at the bottom of the hill. All 4 players are off the tee pad. We'll catch up with them in just a minute.
Hey everyone, as you may know, I'm an ambassador for the Next Generation Disc Golf Tour.
Really?
And with being an ambassador, I kind of have some insider knowledge on what's new this year. So first, let me share a quote from one of the tour co-founders, David Felberg. Part of Next Gen's mission is to help bridge our top amateurs into professional ranks. We take that vision another step this year. Another step. First, new location, Austin, Texas.
A pro invitational for amateurs And Texas, unbelievable.
November 8th through 10th is where the national championship will be held. Second, new format, which is 3 divisions, MA1, FA1, and MM40.
What? $3,000 for first place in Advanced Masters? That's more than what the pros make.
$2,500 for the women? That's like 500 pedicures.
And I think the biggest news of all is $50,000 cash payout.
50,000? No, I'm talking 100,000. 50,000 for payout and 50,000 for merchandise.
Cash. They're trying to bridge that gap from amateurs to pro. But if you want to stay amateurs, you can decline the cash and keep your AM status by taking merchandise.
$7K for first place, guys? It's a no-brainer. See you at the Next Gen Championship.
We are back here and we can see where Sarah Hokom has landed. Sarah's been able to get up and down both rounds from this right side of the fairway. It's a lot more technical though. Oh, she asked for it to get lucky. It did not. But in a way, it kind of did. She kicked out into an open area between those two tree bunkers on the right. So she should have a fairly decent up and down. But that leaves a little bit of an opening for Kristin Tattar to maybe come up and tie Sarah Hokom here. Let's see how that plays out, because as the battle is really on for second place here. Ooh, now the one thing I just noticed right there was Kat taking a 3-meter or a 3-step relief, which means that she's gone out of bounds, or at least seems as she's gone out of bounds, as there is a big marshy lake over on that side.
Another nice upshot out of Catrina Allen. One thing I noticed when Sarah's shot was popping up, they popped up the stats from UDisc. She's got the highest percentage of fairway hits today. This hole alone has brought those stats down and brought that percentage down. But otherwise, Sarah's been hitting all the fairways. And I mean, now she's got 2 birdies on her scorecard, but otherwise all pars. And Paige hasn't had to deal with this yet on this hole this weekend. And this is a very tricky spot. Still about 120 feet to the basket.
When able to chip out nicely. Her reaction was classic. She did a double little fist pump as she was so happy to clear all those trees and get on out. She's going to have a long birdie look. And everybody's still just working their way into position. The one disc that was unknown to us was Kristin's, as she missed her initial line off the tee. Now able to, I think, find it there.
And what a nicely framed tunnel shot she has. And another camera angle looks like she's so deep in those trees. But from this one, we see exactly what she's aiming for.
And just a jump putt out for her. She'll have that putt right there to tie Sarah Hokom for second place. And so we've got a lot of action here still left to happen. Again, with 17 being the easiest hole on the course and then 18 being one of the most difficult, still a lot to go on between these two players. And Sarah able to just chip it up. And now we're going to see Paige Pierce. And what a beautiful putt there by Paige Pierce.
Nice putt from Paige, saving her par. Right in the heart. So nice and flat. Now this round started off pretty rocky for Paige. Her putts weren't falling in. Her drives weren't on point. She was just running into error after error. And it's all just come back together. And that is a true testament of a champion, to be able to pull yourself together. You know, we saw the players just nipping at her heels, taking stroke by stroke and getting close to her. But in the end, Paige, pedal to the metal, full steam ahead, doing what Paige does.
Yeah, we're seeing that comes across as a birdie for Kat. It's hard for me. It's hard for us to know here. We can only base it off of what we've seen from her, in the sense that we think that she was OB there. But anyways, here we are, hole 17, Val. This isn't the correct view, but what's the hole give us really here?
So hole 17, it's a par 4, 373 feet. We see the FPO fairway off to our right. It's green and grassy, but it is an uphill climb for the first shot. Then it dog legs into the woods here. So putting yourself in a good placement will send you a great upshot opportunity to the basket. We see it's elevated up on a DGPT pyramid. And if you're far from the basket and you're forced to go for that putt, it can get very tricky. There is a decline, a little bit of a slope behind the basket. So 17, it's one of the easier par 4s out here on the course. So you kind of just have to take what's laid out for you. You're throwing your upshot, or you're throwing your drive to the top of the hill, and then you're throwing your upshot. There's not a lot of trickiness that you can get into. You can't really force anything to happen on this hole. It will come down to 18, and it'll be interesting to see, you know, how these players that are competing for second place try and force some shots.
Exactly. And there we go. We see Paige throwing just a slow flying disc, whether it's a big putter or a mid-range. Not sure exactly, but either way, playing the proper speed. We saw Allen and Tattar throw the totally wrong disc yesterday, in my opinion. Oh, and Kristin has made the adjustment perfectly. That's the perfect zone. Not a thing in her way to that green. Now we'll see Hokom. And now UDisc has updated correctly. Catrina was out of bounds on that previous hole, so she's taken a par. She's at 3 under par.
And great placement there. She'll have a nice look straight at the basket.
See the disc golf guy there.
Yeah, he's got front row. Either he's pushed people out of the way or he's doing crowd control. I'm not sure.
And Kat yesterday sort of did the same thing. She took the very aggressive line. Ooh, and she's hit a branch and fallen backwards. That's going to be a tough upshot for her. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with you in just a few.
I can throw this disc around the world in one shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8. See? Stay getting birdies, my friends.
And back quickly with Paige's upshot. And that's just textbook right there. Let's see the basket as we pan up to it. But really at this point, Paige is just walking it in. 7 strokes above second place. So the story right now is who is going to claim that second place spot. Right now there's 2 names. Kristin Tattar, Sarah Hokom, both at 6 down. We see Catrina at 3 down. These last 2 finishing holes, it's unless somebody makes a big error on 18, I can almost say that Catrina has solidified her spot.
And again, as another scoring update, it is official that Elaine King is in the clubhouse with a 3 under par. Hot score for the day to this point. She's actually tied for the hot score with Kristin Tattar, who's at 3 under as well. But I just got to throw a big shout out to Elaine. What great play, great effort by her after a really tough day on the course yesterday. She had 4 birdies and just 1 bogey. Very, very solid play. Rebecca Cox and Haley King are battling it out for that 5th place position as they're on 18 right now. Oh, and Sarah's nestled it up nicely. Just a little bit of pressure on Kristin, as if she's even paying attention. I'm not sure she is. I know for us here in the booth, it's sort of our job to make that there's a storyline there. But as a player, I never really cared. It was always just about trying to execute the best that I could. And so, it's unknown if she really does care or not. But either way, for us, it's important.
I'm sure she cares, but there are
knows. I think a difference between knows and cares is probably the.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we did hear from the MPO division yesterday in an interview. Garrett had peeked over somebody's shoulder who was checking UDisc app, and he noticed all the blue birdies on the scorecard and goes, "Hey, is that me?"
He goes, "Who's that?" Yeah,
I think that's pretty hilarious. He knows he's shooting a great round, but to see your name climb up to the top of a leaderboard and to be paying that much attention to scores, I think it just puts another element in your mind, like a little bit more added pressure than needs to be. You're already putting pressure on yourself to hit the shots. You don't need that outside pressure that it actually means more than you think it does standing over that shot.
Right.
But
boy, and Kat has gone from bad to worse here. And at this point, there's no way she's not finishing in 4th place. So it's just kind of like, just wants to get it over with at this point. You can see the basket to the right on the right side of your screen.
And she did. This is one hole where this is just what it is. You throw to the top of the hill and then you throw down to the basket. Kat was trying to just take off a little bit more than needed to be, and you just end up cutting that corner short, and a lot of trouble Kat has found herself in on this hole. And now again, still with a big putt ahead of her, but at this point, doesn't make much difference.
Rebecca Cox has just double bogeyed the 18th hole, taking her to 7 over par. Cat misses just there on the pyramid. You see Haley King putting for a bogey. So it's official. Elaine King is going to finish in a tie for 5th. So congratulations to Elaine as well as Haley.
That is incredible.
Yeah, it really is.
Coming
It's
in
amazing.
3rd card.
Yeah.
Moving her way up 6 places today.
Important putt here for Kristin, able to get it right in there. So she's going to keep pace with Hokom. And now here's the battle. It's who's going to do what on this 18th hole. Really, both Tattar and Hokom have played 18 for pars. So yeah, I think at this point we could be just seeing a tie. But, you know, you still got to execute. And Paige just continuing to show her dominance here this week. What an incredible performance coming off of a world championship performance that was, in my mind, one of the most incredible that I have seen in a long time from the ladies' side. Because typically a lot of times at the Worlds, we see front runners find themselves right at the top from the very beginning. Val, let's take a quick look at 18.
Hole 18, it's a par 4, 605 feet. They extended the tee on this one, making it even more difficult to pop off a good drive. We see an OB wall on the left-hand side, so that comes into play on the drives. And then whenever you set yourself up, you're figuring out your placement, figuring out whether you're going to lay up or you're going to go for the green here. And one of the most famous greens in disc golf, and definitely one of the most famous finishing holes. You've got the OB rock walls that just stare you in the face. And it is a huge decision whether you're going to go for that green or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I was saying before our break, you know, typically we see the front runners kind of take it all the way home and you know, it ends up being a battle. But Paige was down the leaderboard in the early goings of the World Championships, able to bring it back and playing the last hole. There was no guarantee who was going to win the tournament. So it was an absolutely incredible World Championship run for Paige Pierce. And then for her to come back the very next time she plays and to dominate in this fashion, incredible.
We know Paige did a disc switch up, and in the interview, the disc is a gatekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Take the chance to thank Gatekeeper Media for also providing us the flybys this weekend to show us the whole previews.
Kristin putting it in a very similar position to yesterday. Again, playing this whole 4 par at this point.
And the battle is on. Sarah Hokom just needs to put her drive out there in the open. And she does just that, clearing that right-hand side corner. They could just be pacing each other down the fairway. Last on the box, Catrina Allen, sitting in 4th place. Going with a roller.
Ooh, just not flipping up enough.
Oh, no way. The wall is just short enough that a roller can...
Oh, it's okay. Wow.
Well, we're back in the booth. But,
yeah, it's okay. Let's just take a quick break. We'll be back with you in a second.
Hey everyone, as you may know, I'm an ambassador for the next generation.
So yeah, here we are back, and yeah, that was a funny little thing. Bunch of buttons being hit, but we are back here live on the 18th hole. Championship Sunday here at the MVP Open at Maple Hill. Paige Pierce just has to finish out before she's going to be crowned the champion for an unprecedented 5th time. You know, we talked about it early on in the tournament. Maple Hill brings in a lot of champions. In fact, on the men's side, nobody has more than 2. And really, one of the most surprising things is that Macbeth's only won this one time. And on the ladies' side, nobody's won more than 2. You have 2. Sarah Stanhope has 2.
Des
Redding
Redding has
4, actually. Yeah, those were the first 4 here. So I sort of misspoke there. But she had 4. Paige Pierce won 4 in a row. 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. Sarah Hokom won last year. So this is going to be another 5-time champion for Paige Pierce. Just incredible to have 5 times next to your name. That's
and it's
something I've never done in anything, really.
even more impressive because I saw just clicking around here on UDisc, Paige Pierce turned pro in 2009. So we're at 10 years. To win anything 5 times within those 10 years is a feat in itself. I mean,
oh, yeah.
How much she has really just accelerated her game so quickly.
Yeah.
And really has just raised the bar for the FPO division. The score she's put up this weekend has been incredible. The drives that she puts out there just encourages more and more women to get out there and start throwing farther. So Paige Pierce just continues to raise the bar each and every tournament she plays, and especially every tournament she ends up winning. So she's just walking it in right here. Paige Pierce. She's going to be crowned fairly soon, but first we still have a few more shots as Sarah Hokom will be throwing her second shot. Again, tied with Kristin Tattar.
Kristin's put herself in a beautiful position after 2 shots. And I think at this point, Sarah just needs to do the same. Although, you know, I did notice her caddy getting the distance. I wonder if Sarah's going to go ahead and take this opportunity to just give it one final last-ditch effort for that solo second place. It's kind of a all or nothing here in this position.
We'll see right when she releases how much power she's going to put behind this disc.
Oh, she's going for it. Here it is, Jenks. Get on that green. Oh, come back and bounce. Come back and bounce. Oh, baby.
That is the best scenario that could ever happen. To go for a shot, hit the rock, almost landing in bounds first off, hitting the rock, rolling back, and coming back inbounds on the fairway side. We have a replay.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at that again.
It was all or nothing, and then all of a sudden, it was maybe something. And here it is. Look at that. Hits the Ricky rock, but doesn't get the Ricky roll and goes all the way back inbounds on the other side. If you remember years ago, Ricky Wysocki hitting the rocks up there and rolling out of bounds. Incredible, incredible stuff.
And that's why these spectators has been sitting on the bleachers for hours.
Yeah.
They just wait and thrive for those shots. But here we go. Paige Pierce going for it at a great angle.
She did.
And she's on the green.
The disc we saw come in just before that as we came out of our Zuka replay was the disc of Catrina Allen. So, that's she's on in 4, so she should be picking up a bogey. But again, really nowhere for Kat to really go. She's going to finish in 4th. I think the one person that didn't love that roll was this lady right here, Kristin Tattar, because she could have had a solo second. Either way, what an incredible event for her. to finish here. Again, just getting a lot more experience. I still can't believe that. That's incredible luck.
It was
Fortune.
coming in hot. But just think, I mean, she would have landed on the corner of the green, putting pressure on the putt. It still would have been an off chance that she might have made that big putt under pressure.
Oh man!
But geez, foot in mouth as Sarah nearly cashes that putt from almost double the distance.
Big thanks to Sarah Hokom for helping us finish this show strong. Oh, that's some entertaining stuff here. Yeah, I don't really get this. She should be putting last. But at any rate, here is the championship putt for Paige Pierce. And there you go. Look at the smile.
Paige Pierce is your MVP Open at Maple Hill FPO champion for the 5th time in a row. Amazing, amazing play this week, Paige. Congratulations. Congratulations to Kristin Tattar. Incredible performance from her. Such steady play, tying her up in 2nd place with Sarah Hokom, who put on a show really in the last just few shots to get us all excited. And Catrina Allen is taking 4th place.
And there she goes into the scoring area. She's going to go ahead and make that official, and then we'll go ahead and talk with Paige Pierce. And to be fair to Sarah Hokom, Paige Pierce has won 5 out of the last 6 as Sarah is our defending champion here. So still just an incredible run by Paige Pierce. 14 under par, shoots a 3 under. Look at the number next to Kristin Tattar's name, 4 under, hot score of the day. Coming all the way from Estonia. Val, fun stuff.
That was great. And it was great to see the battle as we expected from Kristin Tattar, Sarah Hokom. Catrina Allen was in the race at the beginning of the round, but falls down to 4th place. But these 4 had the buffer. So it was all just what the play was going to be between those competitors. And Paige even gave us something to talk about in the beginning of the round. As I was mentioning earlier, it just a lot of errors, hitting trees early, missing putts that we don't typically see out of her. So making it interesting, like, is she going to have a handle on this? Is she going to be able to overcome this and come out with the win? And we got to about hole 14 is when she laid up that shot, but it was around 13 or 14 when it was really cement in stone that Paige was going to take home this championship. Then it was the battle of Kristin and Sarah.
Yeah. And that, to me, that was probably the more compelling story. Hokom really there at the end going for the all or nothing type of situation. And by the way, Sarah Hokom had a bogey-free final round. So congratulations to Sarah. Really nothing to wave her finger at, because of the fact that, she was the defending champion, came out and played very, very well. And, in some other years, or maybe if Paige Pierce wasn't playing the tournament, we could be over at hole 1 getting ready to do a playoff right now. That's how good the play was. And you just compare it to everybody else on the top 10 leaderboard there. And congratulations really to just all of the competitors at this point. We see in the corner of our eyes, we see Terry trying to just grab Paige at this point. But she does have to just verify her score, make it official.
Yep, exactly. You got to make sure that score is final.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not a champion yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've seen that happen in previous events and not going to happen this time. But an interesting way to see how the players got to these scores and to see Kristin Tattar come out with that 4 down. We know the hot round of the weekend was from Paige at 6 down.
Yep.
Incredible golf. A lot of women shooting under par rounds. And we gave a shout out to Elaine King. She shot an under par round today, bumping her up to 5th place. So hot shooting from the FPO division this weekend. So it's a very deserving win for Paige Pierce. And we will have Terry Miller and Paige Pierce very shortly on 18's green. And we see the bleachers are clearing out. People are headed to go spectate them.
Yeah.
The MPO hole
So
one.
here we are, Terry Miller and 5-time champion Paige Pierce. Take it away, Terry.
By our 5-time champion, and I'm not just talking about Worlds, Paige. You've won here 5 times now. Pretty impressive.
Thank you.
How does it feel?
It feels great. It feels great. This is my favorite course of all time, so it feels good to play it well. Last year I got 7th, I believe, so it was good to come back and prove what I can do on this course. It's awesome because it has like every single shot, you know, uphill, downhill, woods, open, water, everything. So it's really cool to get a win out here and just play solid on a course that shows so much variety.
Well, and you shot under par all weekend long, each round. Coming into today, you were averaging 10-20 golf. It's going to be somewhere in that neighborhood again today for this round. What does it feel like?
Maybe not. Elaine King shot 3 under par.
Well, it's going to be 1,000 plus rated.
Yeah.
Meaning you're averaging over 1,000 on the weekend. What was clicking for you?
My circle 2 putts. My circle 2 putts. I don't know how many, but I would say I made almost 10 over the 3 rounds. So that was big. Even when I wasn't getting super close, I was able to convert on the green. So, yeah, I think just my putting overall, feeling more confident on the green is making me feel more confident the whole way down the fairway. You know, it doesn't matter where my upshot lands because I feel comfortable. So I think that, you know, when you're putting well, it translates to better scores all around.
Well, a couple days ago, Callie McMorrin walked up and she said, well, today wasn't really my day out there, and oh well, maybe this event's not mine, and we'll move on to the next one. And you said the same thing. You smiled about it. But yet we go on to the next one, and we expect a dominating performance out of you week in and week out. How do you sustain such a great level every single weekend of good play?
I mean, I obviously have the skills that it takes to play these courses, so it's just putting it together, trying to keep your head straight, because, you know, a lot of people are, you know, I looked over your shoulder at one point and someone's like, Paige looks tense, and I'm like, actually, I feel pretty good. So, you know, just to keep your mental state good, you gotta just not even look at Facebook or whatever, just make your post and put it down. I think that I have an advantage in that, where I don't spend too much time on my phone, just, you know.
You're in the moment.
Yeah, just on the course, really. And I'm one of the only ones with no headphones, and I'm just like really in it, and I think that that's a huge advantage.
Well, speaking of being in the moment and having support, anything you'd like to say to everyone out there that watched throughout the entire weekend?
Oh yeah, seriously, thank you guys so much. I know UDisc just crashed, so I think that's a good sign, because you guys were looking at it constantly, and I know you've been telling me that your numbers are getting bigger and bigger, so it's really cool to see. And if you guys are enjoying the coverage, seriously, go share it, because disc golf is you can tell everywhere we're going around the country, it's growing. We're seeing people that never have seen disc golf, and they're buying discs and coming out here watching. So thank you guys so much for sharing the love.
All right. Well, Paige is again another 5-time champion, Worlds, Vibram. It doesn't matter where she goes. She's collecting the titles. We're going to send it back to you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later on this afternoon. Congrats, Paige. Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. So there you go. 5-time champion at Maple Hill, Paige Pierce. Val, react to what she said. A lot to take in there.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, Paige is so centered right now in her game. You know, she's still a young player, but she's got so much experience. She's won the big tournaments. She's had to fight and come back from behind. She's had to maintain leads. And so she just knows where she is at and what type of player she is. And it's great to hear that she is in the present and she's taking it all in, and you know, she's enjoying every bit of the way, you know, whether it's on the course or she's out there traveling and getting new hobbies out of photography and video. And couldn't be happier for Paige to win. And I know it's a consistent name that we see out there all the time, but it's always, each and every weekend, a hard fought battle. I mean, she has to be at the top of her game if she wants to win these tournaments. And so just putting her name on another trophy isn't just like, yeah, she won another one. No, Paige Pierce deserved the win this weekend and shot incredible to deserve it.
Yeah, and that's the final word on that, because really so well put by you, Val. I mean, she just is such a great champion, and she gives it her all every single time she's out there. So congratulations to Paige Pierce from here in Bend, Oregon, in the studios, and really that puts the FPO side to bed. It puts it to rest here at this MVP Open. But we still have the MPO this afternoon, 3:30 Eastern. It's Sunday. It's championships. It's some of the top 10 players in the world, really, in the top 10 of this afternoon's coverage. So come back, join us at 3:30 Eastern. It's going to be a hot one. I swear to God, you're going to love it. You're not going to want to miss that. But that's it for now. So I'm Nate Doss. This is Valerie Jenkins for Johnny V back in the booth, for Terry out on the course. Congratulations to Paige Pierce, 5-time Maple Hill champion. Let's roll the footage, and we'll see you at 3:30.